AOE 伤害，哇！而且一个技能品质进来了3个人，他是没用。再来一个聚合射线，加上一个营长，这一波大招直接不准备跟。哇，非常好，跳舞直接一个内家跳。
Hello and welcome everybody as we are here for the third and final day of this first stage knockout session for the 2021 Chinese Contenders Season 2 for the English broadcast. I am your caster Rich Red here with Moxie, and again we've had a little bit of a small caster roulette yesterday and today, swapping the cards a little bit. Even those who saw Moxie's tweet saw that it was an unknown venture of who would be alongside her, but I am here and we're gonna have a great time with it. Moxie, how are you, my friend?
I mean, let's be honest, everyone saw the logo.
And, I mean, the color scheme, I'm pretty sure it's just ingrained in my lifestyle, let's be honest.
Either that or Diorissa. I think you're the only person who is so vocal about absolutely adoring that hero. But hey, good news, Orisa started moving over to Chinese Contenders. You might get to see her in play today.
I know, and I'm really looking forward to it, as we're going to be looking at the, again, third day where we've got the bracket to show you how we have gotten to this point today. We are going to be seeing first Team Chaser versus Up Academy, and who will be moving through to face off against Billy, sitting quaintly, quietly, but yet excited who they're going to fight off against for the grand finals of this stage 1.
Yeah, it's potentially going to be a long day of Overwatch. Team Chaser versus Up Academy at first. That's going to be a first to 3 as always, but then moving into that Billy versus To Be Determined, that's going to be a first to 4, Rich. That means that you've got twice as long to try and get a little bit of revenge against Billy, who has been looking not as strong as in regular season, right? We talked about it on day 1 that they'd been able to come in 21 maps in a row, hadn't dropped a single one in regular season. And then on the second day of the broadcast, they drop a map to Team Chaser.
Yep, they are human, and they have kryptonite. It just needs to be brought to the table for this matchup. But again, still feeling very confident being in this grand finals for now, and seeing if we can have a redemption for Team Chaser to come back into this to face off against what we've talked about so heavily as a rivalry. But again, we don't want to count out Up Academy moving forward to this, as we are going to head into the rosters. But before we do that, we'll be looking at least again to remind those of the hero bans and how it's going to look for today. And we had a little bit of a discussion about this, and even Kenobi touched on it yesterday, that, you know, this hero ban isn't so utterly crucial to shut down what the Chinese region specifically plays and is comforted to. The Echo and the Ashe really being the more significant in what we've seen, you know, having to adapt around Moxie, and we've seen a lot of really great Pharah play amongst other compositions as well.
Yeah, honestly, even, you know, with Echo being in rotation, I'm pretty sure we would still have seen an awful lot of Pharah just because how well she can get away with everything currently on this patch. Remember, hit scan has been nerfed. That fallout has gone from 50% to 30%, and that means even if Ashe was in rotation, yeah, you'd probably have a water pistol trying to go up against a Pharah with how well that Viper would be able to actually do anything so far away for that target.
And we've seen such a value being brought in with that Pharah, as you touched on, with that alternative to the Echo. As we take a look at today, we've got the map set here in front to give you also a guideline of how these maps are going to rotate over the course of today for this losers bracket before going into the grand finals against Billy. And, you know, we've seen an assortment of maps going into this. Yesterday, we saw a lot of maps, specifically because of Up Academy being able to pull a reverse sweep here, dropping out T1W, which was, you know, a very quite exciting thing to see, and I especially know that it makes sure that Dor feels happy about his decision in his roulette worth of selections, as we're going to actually take a look at those predictions to see what the, you know, outcome might be for today, as Up, once again, likes to be the special cookie with extra sprinkles.
I mean, decision is an awfully large word to describe what Dor is doing with his friends, isn't it? He's not exactly, and he's actually said this to us outside of broadcast. He is literally rolling.
Seriously, go to his Twitter. Go to his Twitter, and you will see that, like, 4 tweets back, it's literally just his wheel that he's made, and that this is what it is.
He's just spinning it until your dice arrive, and then he'll be able to go off of that. But no, if you look at the predictions, a lot of us are predicting a pretty long day of Overwatch. No matter that first match outcome, 4-3, 4-2. Billy versus Up Academy or Team Chaser. That's going to be one to watch.
It really is. And I mean, honestly, when it comes to, you know, Up Academy, again, as I mentioned, we saw the reverse sweep yesterday. There was a lot of coordination. There was a lot of very precise decision making when it came to later in the maps that they were presented against T1W, which allowed them to finally get their momentum and really take advantage. And they're not a team to really count out. They've been pulling themselves together and having this sustainability that is starting to evolve as they've been playing. And now, especially having them on broadcast, we can get that observation of where their strengths are and what weaknesses they've been refining. And especially, you're going to need that going against Team Chaser, because the one thing we also mentioned is about how T1W can kind of drop the ball now and again, or they lack some of the consistency. But Team Chaser's not as much of one to do that, Moxie.
Yeah, and I mean, Team Chaser as well, they've picked up Kaneki and pairing him off of Aprita. We talked about it a little bit on day one, right? Team Chaser's one big weakness was control point, purely because Aprita was almost shoehorned into playing Tracer on every single one of those maps, and that meant that a lot of the rest of the team suddenly had to be able to keep themselves alive, minus one player. But now that you've got Kaneki coming in, it takes a lot of weight off Aprita's shoulders and actually lets him really dig into that map pool and be a little bit more versatile on that control point. But the one thing that we do have to talk about, everyone in chat is extremely confused. We're going to get to see the Up Academy roster in just a couple of seconds, so we can actually explain this. Mike Haley is currently on tank. Up Academy only have 2 DPS players and 2 tank players, so yes, even though when he was an OWL, he was running on that DPS role, he is currently flexing over to the tank spec, and this isn't really the first time that we've actually seen this happen in the region, right? Cast your mind back all the way to last year when we actually had Shou Cheng for Flag Gaming, who was coming off of the DPS role and actually flexed for them onto that Zarya and the Sigma.
And I mean, there is an opportunity to do it. We've seen some growth from Mike Lee. There has been some shakiness every now and again, especially what we got to see yesterday. But, you know, transitioning into that role, it's really just those very minute expertise plays that can sometimes be a little hit or miss. And when you're making that type of transition onto this Diva play, especially with how relevant it is right now and being able to utilize the value of it, you have to see Mike Lee really step up here. And I think that's going to be one of the things that we do have to continue to see elevated amongst a lot from this team. But, you know, there are still some very key critical roles in here. C-Wave, we saw so much value from yesterday, really stepping up and working with this team to find advantages. And, you know, hopefully that's something that can transition to compete against Team Chaser, who we can also take a look at their roster as well.
Yeah, you want to talk about players who have impressed. Riven's got to be one right up there, right? This guy is such a good Zarya, and pairing that off X-Ray coming in on the Hammond. You get so much bubble charge, you get so much ult charge just beaming down. That really is going to be a big matchup for me, right? Whether Riven is going to be able to just absolutely beam Mike Haley out of that Diva mech and disintegrate it in seconds, or whether Mike Haley is going to be able to keep the mech and keep that threat of defense matrix to try and keep Riven in his place. Remember, Zarya off of Diva, you always win the neutral fight, but the second that the ultimate comes online, the Zarya's got to be just a little bit more patient so that your Graviton doesn't get gobbled away.
Yeah, patience is so key when it comes to that, because if you spend all that time generating that ultimate and it's instantly consumed, you have such a high regret, and it's a really long-haul loss on investment. And, you know, even just talking about, you know, Riven, X-Ray's really been stepping up on the Winston play. We pointed that out yesterday to see if it's consistent with the synergy between Riven, even Aprita, also on this Tracer play that has really started to snowball and has a great understanding and awareness of the fight tempo to know exactly when to play aggressive, when to play passive, and really try to utilize that tempo that Riven and X-Ray are also synergizing into these engagements.
Well, they're not the only ones synergizing though, right? Because Kyo is coming in on that Yana, and you want to talk about Winston play, you have to talk about the support, keeping that Winston actually around for the first couple of seconds once that dive goes in, and Kyo has really impressed being able to build up to these nanos so quickly that you're able to immediately start a fight rather than waiting a little bit, letting the Winston jump out, taking that time to heal, and then going back in when the fight is ready. But talking of ready, I do believe that we're ready for our first map.
Yes, indeed, as we are going to be heading on to our first map of Control, Oasis will be the first floodgate of action, as we are going to see what map we're going to come on to first, but we've seen and will continue to probably be mentioning this Pharah play. That is such a critical, important role that we've seen come out into this, and how the opposing side is looking to really handle it. But there has been some variation. You can see even right now, Kaneki potentially hovering over the Sombra until we do get out on this map. I'd really like to see what that initial play is going to be. It's that game of chess here, Moxie, to see who gets that extra advantage at the start.
Yeah, well, Up Academy seem like they're leading completely into this full tank dive, and I actually really like that C-Wave is then going to go onto the McCree to try and make up for the fact that Michael is not going to be on that Zarya to try and keep Chiron just a little bit safe. You've got the flashbang set off the Zarya bubble to deal when Team Chaser and X-Ray's Hammer tries to hit that.
Play the outside with the wrecking ball, getting some harassment and making sure to get that mega pack utilized for these engagements on the outside with a pretty good again. Early pickup on the C-Wave, huge advantage, getting rid of that hit scan, and you're going to have a nice relocate, making sure that they don't get taken down to have the numbers advantage to transition to this point.
Kaneki Sombra is going to be such a pain for Michaeli to deal with as well. We've seen D.Va always gets hacked out just so defense pitch can't be used, and stopping Team Chaser from building up to those ultra as fast as possible. But a Prida 88% to the first pulse-bomb and counting. C-Wave just does not have the space to be able to deal with the Tracer.
No, and honestly, there's another follow-up here once again on the support line. Gonna have to push retreat. Pulse bomb comes out, gets a lot of damage onto Michaeli. Does get the demon, forcing it back. C-Wave not in a prime position to pursue any sort of engagement, as there's a now nano boost committed to this, keeping Ion up front, but slept for the moment to prevent any sort of extra ultimate economy generation. And Up Academy still kind of going back and forth on this knife's edge.
Yeah, and it's back and forth because Prida was actually keeping Chiron completely occupied when the nano boosted Winston went in, so you had to be a lot more careful. Michaeli on the mech had to be there with defense matrix to keep the Winston up and alive, and that means that what should have been Up Academy's fight win turned into Team Chaser stalling the point still.
That's getting position. EMP comes out, lands on the green. Ion looking to try and bail out of there, but there's not enough healing to sustain. 3 down, and now it's only Michaeli with the 2 supports to left as Aprita just cleans up for free.
Chiron just gives up, waits with a sweet embrace of death, which will at least be quick. For Up Academy, they're coming in with the Deadeye, but the problem is Team Chaser are going to have that natural cover to just be able to pull back and wait it out, and then X-Ray the second that the fight actually starts to drop those battle team up, but they're not even letting up the space. He's gonna have to hold the trigger the entire time. Team Chaser are losing players, but they've already picked up almost 70% off the point, and the more that they just keep stalling this point out with the side composition, the harder it is for Up Academy to actually get the flip without investing ult.
But with that little bit of a division here by Team Chaser, playing Kaneki so aggressive in the back, but behind you coming out to try and force the translocate, allowed Up Academy to get that frontline position with the nano boost, or the pulse bomb, to take down one, leading into this transition, and now finally take it back. But there's still several ultimates to equalize with Team Chaser and Up Academy.
You have to win the fight before Riven's Gravitone comes out, and they do manage to catch Kyo, so it's not going to be as brutal as it could have been. No Ana to keep Team Chaser up does mean that they don't really want to commit to this fight, but they've already used an ultimate. Up Academy are just stalling things out, and the longer they get this fight to last, the more percentage they're going to go through, which is crucial to try and equalize Team Chaser's 87.
And Ion had a really great primal race to try and just knock back Riven, not really gaining any stability, but this minefield coming out from X-Ray, trying to zone off multiple members of Up Academy, playing that outer side towards the archway, and having an opportunity to regroup as Kyo still keeps distance. A pretty full takedown on the C-Wave, so they've got the numbers advantage. X-Ray looking to flank, peppering damage onto the supports as you have a dive coming in from Ion, but again, slept on the back, consistently knocked down in this nano boost, and losing so much value from it.
Kaneki's about to hit that EMP though. The good news for Up Academy is that even if the EMP comes out, Team Chaser doesn't have the ultimate to try and capitalize on the moment, but they've already got Snowy out of the win. That means the supports get to stand a lot safer.
In the back, C-Wave forces out the Deadeye, attempting to try and find something and maneuver Team Chaser into a comfortable position, but they've managed to swap back, looking to reach that 99 into the overtime. Up Academy losing Ion into this is going to be a challenge, and has to force onto a wrecking ball. Getting into this, have that full 6 to try and engage this, as you have now Kaneki with the EMP landing on only to 2, but still valuable too, as you've got Michaeli eliminated, removed with that follow-up of the crab coming out by Riven on that doorway to make sure that nobody can touch the point any further. But there's still some survival as Aprita looks to say, no, 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 we don't want you to take it, but you will have Up Academy persevering.
EMP really was just trying to get my Kaylee's mech out of the way so that Riven could use that Graviton and keep up Academy off the point just with the Graviton itself, but I was actually able to keep that contestant even with that double plus one coming through. Team Chaser still just didn't have the damage to actually win the fight off the back of it, and now Up Academy are fighting towards the last fight. X-Ray does have the mind, and that is going to be the one thing that can put this immediately in Chaser's favor.
Positioning prime value as they've got a decent placement, but really so many of Up Academy had rotated around it. So in this archway is going to be a critical position to try and take advantage of. Seawave going in with the nano boost, attempting to find that high noon onto Afrita, but does look to hide. Isn't going to tread into that open space, but it actually still manages to clip Kaneki, who's not going to be able to generate that EMP since they're out of this fight. Afrita looking to try and near with this pulse box. You had Langsa with the rally, surviving and giving extra assistance for Team Chaser with this 99 into the overtime. This is just like we saw yesterday. How long is Up Academy going to be able to withstand this control point to possibly take it away as they did to T1W? Now, as it continues to dwindle, you're just really going to see X-Ray finding value on Seawave, but this is still such a scrappy fight here, Fox.
Oh, the hack onto Mike Haley to stop the Diva bomb from splitting Team Chaser. And X-Ray's gonna set him up. Oh, Up Academy, they step off the point to try and get away from the mines that come through, and sure, as we see the map flip over Up Academy, the Diva bomb picks up 3, but no one is touching that point, and it makes absolutely no difference as we see University pop up next.
If Langsa didn't hit that flay on the Diva, that would have allowed an overtime and potentially even that 3K to draw that out further for Up Academy. What a heads-up play to just get the knockback at the sliver at that last few seconds, as now we're going to be heading into University and seeing how you're going to have Team Chaser come into this and try to exert dominance, because Up Academy is still putting up quite a fight here.
The difference now is that Langsa on that Mercy means Kaneki is going to move over to the Pharah. And for Up Academy, they need to win this first fight, otherwise Kaneki is not going to let Seawave any of the space to try and take them out of the sky.
Yeah, Seawave now getting taken out again. This was one detriment that we had. Seawave in the positioning has to be on point. If you're caught out early like this, it is just free-forming for Kaneki, who is just pumping out rocket after rocket. No ability to withstand that damage. It should be an easy cleanup.
It's a real tough call from Up Academy, right? You either go into the side room and you just eat so many fire rockets to the face before you're able to actually step on that point, or you try and take the high ground to set Seawave up for the best possible chance to counter this fire. But unfortunately, by taking that high ground, you left yourself exposed to that fire, who is now just in your side, a constant form holding up that barrage.
You see Smiley looking to try and find halfway onto this point as Up Academy looks to take the opposing angle, but still so much damage being forced onto that backline. The support, the Nano Bouquet is going to come online, most likely going to be tossed out onto Ion for that generation of the Primal Rage, pressing onto this point. But there's just, again, still so much being funneled into these doorways. You've got the Nano out onto Seawave. Can the value be obtained here? A lot of damage onto Riven, but still being able to take a lot of rockets overhead from Connect.
Beautiful play from Up Academy, actually initiating the fight before they could all get caught out by the EMP and the bars that would have followed suit. Connect might even go to use it to try to keep this point in Team Chaser's favor. They know they've got the ult advantage, but Ion is just primal raging, making sure that there is no fuel for the support. And without the defense matrix, both the Pharah and the backline is down. And Up Academy can finally now start taking advantage of the line of sight that is going to be there for Seawave to take Kaneki out of the fight before it even starts.
And I really like the reservation here for Up Academy. They didn't overcommit with the ultimate economy. They really only utilized the 2 that was necessary for this instead of trying to bring something in a little bit more flavor to overwhelm their opponent. But you can still see a Pritter now looking for an opportunity, has the EMP, just peeking around the corner to find multiple individuals. There's a lot together on the outside as you've got the Nano coming through. Stack of ultimates going to be coming out as you've got the rally to lead. The Pulse Bomb doesn't really get too much value. Afrita has to be careful with the Bionate that land, but with Tio gone, it needs to be so careful as the res managing to equalize here with Langsa getting it quickly and still in this.
Remember, Afrita still has that EMP and is still hovering around trying to put it to use. Riven's Diva Bomb would be absolutely brutal to use it as a follow-up, but it's a hammer mine where they're going to step up all of Up Academy's movement. And all of the ultimates that they're using, they just want the flip.
And now you've got the counter from Mike Lee, who is eliminated, does get the pharmacy composition out of the sky, and actually still allows Up to generate some percentage, far surpassing the 48% that Team Chaser has, even though there's going to be some time for Team Chaser to get back into this, it's going to be drawn out. Up is still feeling comfortable right now, getting this and still holding on to 3 ultimates.
And because Chaser invested 3 ultimates for that one fight, their economy is in shambles right now. Yes, they're going to have a barrage, but we've already seen C-Wave can take the Pharah out of the sky before you can even get in a position to use it.
Ion surviving by the skin of their teeth, just spamming that leap to get out and not be taken down by the environmental, as you do have now, again, 90% final seconds here. Up Academy in a decent position with our ultimate economy as C-Wave's gonna look for that high noon, attempting to get a beautiful sleep to prevent X-Ray from peeking around that corner and blocking the sightline as Kaylee collapses onto the Sombra plate. Has to force the translocate. Overtime continuing to dwindle as Team Chaser attempts to get back into this, but the rocket barrage will not gain any value because C-Wave finds the clip. You've got Smiley gaining another, and definitely has a grin on their face to try and clean this one off.
Yeah, if you're actually wanting to look at any player who's been able to let Up Academy keep a hold of this point for so long, you have to look no further than this diva. Kaylee has been an absolute monster being able to keep in that mech, and you can see Team Chaser, Kaneki does not want to go for the barrage, putting yourself into a position where you know you're going to get taken out, but it's a matter of how many people you can bring alongside you. If Defense Matrix is there, that number becomes a grand total of 0, and you find no value, and you drain so much damage potential from your side. And honestly, great heads-up play from Up Academy, making sure that they prioritize keeping that mech and forcing a Predator to actually try and chase Smiley with the hacks rather than the Diva.
And we've talked a lot about the top 3 for this region, and Up Academy really definitely showing their worth and value and how they've been playing, and really putting Team Chaser on the back foot in some occasions, and looking to try and at least take this first map to gain the morale to snowball not only through this loser's bracket, but also potentially finding themselves in a grand finals position.
Up Academy are going to be looking for that high ground. Remember, this is what they tried on University, and Team Chaser actually used this strategy against them, but a beautiful anti-nade actually going to force them to just stay in the side room, and that means that Kaneki gets an absolute shooting gallery.
CXC has to be so careful. C-Wave gets picked up again. Rockets just peeked around that corner from the stairway. Ultimate advantage going to be quickly generated here by both Aprita and Kaneki, to be honest. They're surpassing that 60% lightning fast.
Yeah, this is the danger that Up Academy are going to face. It's going to be extremely hard to get C-Wave into any position. The good news is that Chiron has actually been able to build up to a nano boost with all of the damage Up Academy has taken, and you might be able to create the space with a nano monkey.
Ooh, gonna go in though onto C-Wave once again. The prime focus. They know where their resources want to be delved into, and it's to try and find this pharmacy composition. But a quick tuck back. Kaneki and Lenksa just evade any kind of damage. It's gonna get swapped back though with the presence up front, and ZXZ getting some great engagement and stuns.
Kyo, before he actually goes down, is able to take the Kree out, and that means that Kaneki gets a little bit more of a safety cushion to stay up in that sky, and Up Academy are forced yet again onto the sidelines of this point.
Britta still looking to try and get some value here, being very cognizant of sticking towards that point to try and switch it back, since Up Academy is going to surpass the percentage already gained by Team Chaser as Kaneki, and again, not really having to worry too much since C-Wave was eliminated, as you stated, and is in a comfortable position with a rocket barrage now.
Chiron doesn't have that nano boost for me to create space or let C-Wave move forward unimpeded. And that means that Up Academy have to be a little bit more careful. If they can get Kaneki out of the way before that barrage is in position, especially if you want to send Riven in with that defense matrix to try and keep the bar a little bit safer, but there's the barrage! You can actually even see Riven using the defense matrix to keep the fire up in the sky, not letting the Deadeye from Up Academy even have the chance to pop.
You're going to have Up Academy take it, but honestly, the coordination between Aprita and Kaneki to put C-Wave in such an uncomfortable position is critical to take advantage of this, because you have so much resource being put into C-Wave. All of Team Chaser is acknowledging it. They're going to look to take this back and shut down Smiley as well.
Team Chaser holding onto these Hammond mines as well means even if Up Academy are able to come in with something like a Primal Rage, Winston isn't going to have any space to actually be able to just push the bully Team Chaser out as all Kaneki. That is a horrible angle and finds C-Wave again!
That has been... Well, but Smiley comes in and says, all right, if you're going to drop down low, I'm going to take you with me and be able to get 2 with that pulse bomb. There has to be some engagement that comes through by Up Academy now. Looking to try and get that impression onto Aprita, who's in the back, has the pulse bomb of their own. Super low, tosses it out, eaten by Kaylee. Definitely accelerating and demonstrating how they can play this diva with exceptional game style. And now you've got the bomb up top. Isn't going to get too much value since it was up top. A C-Wave now looking for a potential angle, but still forcing back most of Team Chaser.
Michaela using that defense matrix to keep that Kree up and safe, as you actually saw Kaneki just trying to put in a little bit of pressure. Has the barrage, has to try and take C-Wave out before you use it. But remember, this is Team Chaser's fight. They still have the point. Still got the percentage, but Up Academy are coming out on top, and they'll be able to keep that going.
Big resilience. Up Academy, just in these long engagements, are being able to coordinate themselves much more effectively than what I think we've seen before, as they find themselves not really being able to get the proper targets that are necessary to turn the fight, and they've really been finding value here, and still, again, have a decent ultimate economy to carry into this next one.
Or even forcing Kaneki off the fire onto the Sombra, so you can be a little bit of a hassle on Smiley to keep your backline safe. Means that they're not comfortable running the fire, and that was their big damage burst.
I mean, even with how well they've been taking out C-Wave, but again, you've got this ground control, takes down Kaneki, still not getting any value, and cannot generate this EMP, which in the long run is what you want when you're at that 99%. That follow-through is key, but you've got Ion with the Primal Rage looking to continue harassing, as you're still going to keep Smiley. C-Wave gets another Deadeye coming up soon, and the support ultimates, you've at least got ZXZ.
My worry now, though, is that Kaneki almost has to keep Michaeli hacked 24/7 because you're coming into final fight. There's going to be a Diva Bomb on the cards for Up Academy. Team Chaser aren't running anything with traditional shielding. If the Diva Bomb comes out, they're all gone.
Kyron peeking the corner by the stairs just outside of the pulse bomb radius, which was stellar, because you do not want to lose that on a play, especially with how well it has been positioned into the rally from ZXZ. Holding strong. C-Wave has been eliminated, though, by X-Ray. X-Ray so low. Same thing with Lengsa. Multiple members of Team Chaser have to play cautiously to not be overrun, as C-Wave has to swap over to the 76, getting the sprint onto the point with Smiley looking for a Prida in the back, still alive, has to evade, recalls back, and they still continue to stick on this point.
Chiron's going to have a nano boost. Oh no, Team Chaser, the soldier can't touch. And Up Academy are able to walk away with Oasis, and honestly, that last fight could have gone either way, right? You see Ion get slapped, and immediately that Winston should be gone. There is no reason that he stays standing other than, and we're going to say this guy's name again because he's been really impressing on Diva today, Mike Lee. He froze in the Diva Bomb to act as peel. So even though it doesn't come up in the kill feed, it still guarantees that your Winston stays alive and your team actually has some structure to be able to have someone standing and take the hits rather than all of your supports going down in seconds.
I mean, I know it might be, of course, very early to say this, but, you know, Dor and his Wheel of Fortune worth of predictions right now, at least starting out strong for Up Academy, which, again, we already saw towards the end of that reverse sweep dominate to D1W. Now going against Team Chaser, again, a team that we constantly would just look to say as, you know, Team Chaser, Billy, but Up Academy, you're very correct when it comes to really evaluating these players. Mike Lee is definitely elevating in every moment of these fights. I mean, again, having that transition onto this Diva play is a challenge in and of itself, but being able to embrace it and show the type of skill that we've seen is really exciting to actually just be able to watch firsthand. Yeah.
Especially because, you know, Diva is really crucial in these compositions, right? The Diva has to go in if you're not running the Zarya, so you have to be there with Defense Matrix to help your other tank actually survive the initial dive, but you're also the one that has to worry about ultimate tracking. If you're able to keep eating those Pulse Bombs, if there's a Hanzo, the Dragon Strikes, the Graviton is absolutely huge because it means that the win condition from the other team just goes poof. There's nothing that they can do. And when a team has a win condition, they get in position to be able to capitalize on it. It is no good if you chuck a Graviton in and it hits 6 people, and you're all the way on the backside of the point, and you're not there. So if that Graviton goes away, suddenly 6 people are looking pretty vulnerable and pretty silly, just standing there with their ultimates, hoping to capitalize on the moment, and you can turn around and immediately shred them. And so seeing Mike Haley actually come in, not just with the peel, not just with the bombs, but with the defense matrix eats as well, really goes to show that this guy is really stepping into this role as the Diva and is really dominating.
Someone's got to keep a counter. We've already got a Pulse Bomb in the mix of consumption, so we'll have to keep tabs on that as we go through the broadcast today to see if they can also work their way to that grand finals. But again, there's still a lot more Overwatch to be had with these two teams. We're going to be heading to Route 66 for our next map. And again, what we looked to see yesterday when it came from Up Academy against T1W, there was a lot of the Shimada brothers. We had Smiley coming out on the Genji, C-Wave playing more of the Hanzo. There was a lot of explosive damage to try and break onto those shields, especially when you have the reset in the composition from a defensive position. So I'm curious to see if they're going to look to try and bring that back into the mix of things. And they're going to have it here looking on the defense. Very similar, but Smiley's going to take a little bit of a different adaptation, more so going on the Tracer.
I mean, it's a very stable composition, right? It's very safe. If Team Chaser decide to run Kaneki on this Pharah, C-Wave can still play that role of hitscan, and Smiley can still go in with Ion on this Winston and play tag team on that support lineup so that the Pharah doesn't have as much support. On the other side, if it's not a Pharah, you've still got a lot of damage, you've still got a lot of backline hassle, and that means that you don't have to worry about losing that first fight, immediately losing all of your ult charges, and swapping up your composition entirely.
And I'm really looking to see how sturdy and stable Up Academy can be, because we've seen Team Chaser have one heck of a difficult time when it comes to this Route 66 map. Just on this defensive position, getting very overwhelmed. Was not able to do it earlier against Billy previously in the week. And you can already see an early pick coming out, getting rid of my Kaylee, which is rough.
Yeah, these are a little bit out of position there, and that means that Team Chaser can just pick off all of these stragglers now that you don't have that form of heal. Ion gone down, Chiron as well. Anyone who gets found out from Up Academy is just going to get absolutely disintegrated. And now you talk about being able to, you know, have that safeness, that stabilization on that defense. That's all going to be denied to you because Team Chaser are the ones in control with that high ground, and Aprita's always going to get the first couple of shots in.
And there's so many different positions that you can really enter in once you get past that initial doorway or corner, really. X-Ray's going to still get some decent value, and looking at where the positioning is from Up Academy. Nice pile drive, getting a lot in that crowd control, with much charge being generated almost near these minefields. Only a few meters left to go to this checkpoint. You're going to get rid of C-Wave. Kaneki getting so much value, tosses the pulse bomb, still gets the pick because the shield falls off time, and that should be an easy checkpoint here for Team Chaser with quite a plentiful time bank as long as they can focus fire these last couple. And Aprita's doing it. Aprita's doing it!
And here is the real painful writing for Up Academy. That fight finished so quickly that other than a pulse bomb being thrown out by Smiley, they had zero. And Team Chaser, they've still got snowball potential. They've still got the mines that they can boulder into this next fight. Kyo's going to have a nano boost, Lynx are a rally. They've got all of the stall potential, all of the aggression, and all of the space to be able to use them, and Up Academy are just going to have to stall.
And as you can see with 4 minutes and 30 seconds, again, a massive time bank. Try and work with. Engagement comes out by Ion. Still getting a decent opportunity to try and generate towards this Winston Primal Rage, and underneath this bar area, just playing super cautious, can't tread out into the open. And honestly, Kyo here getting this pickup onto Ion. Again, it's either my Kaylee that's going too early or Ion in this tank line, and that's causing such a lack of structure for this team to try and really force back anything from Team Chaser.
Yeah, bubble rotation, if you don't get it 9 pixel perfect, that tank lineup is going to go down in absolute seconds, and Team Chaser are really taking advantage, picking apart the fact that it's not perfect, and that Ion and Mykelia are just a little bit out of sync right now. C-Wave with this Deadeye can turn things around, especially if you give him a little bit of a boost with that nano, but Chiron is down before the McCree can get super powered, and Team Chaser can hunt for blood.
I mean, it literally is blood in the water. They're just getting these independent picks, which is really, in the grand scale of things, never been able to recover from. Up Academy has found themselves so vulnerable throughout this streak phase since the beginning, really. And now with a grab coming in by my Kaylee, attempting to try and turn this around, C-Wave at least gets a pickup to get rid of full DPS. And this is finally when they're able to cauterize. They stop the bleeding and have been able to hold this payload just a few meters before the next checkpoint.
But they have to hold. Now that they have the space, now that they're the ones who get the chance in that poke phase to come out in the kill feed first, they have to start taking advantage over it. Otherwise, Team Chaser are going to come with an absolute bonkers time bank for that point C. The trouble is, Up Academy need to stall until they have ultimates online. Team Chaser, they've already built them up.
And as they continue to take that time to press up here, you can see Kaneki just trying to sneak by over towards the payload, getting a little bit of presence there just to draw attention away from up top. Now you do have, again, that aggression from both Smiley and Kaneki. Who's going to get the Tracer be Tracer? But, you know, looking to reset. And honestly, just a slow, methodical play here with as much time as remaining on this.
Yeah, but by keeping Smiley occupied, you're actually denying the Tracer the chance to go for Kyo on this backline, which means that Nano Boost is so safe to put down.
X-Ray getting a nice dislodgement from positioning, attempts to force them back. Ultron comes out, but a beautiful nano boost comes out, but the Bionade follows. This is just some serious Bionade action up front here coming out by Keo, and Aprita's just going to do, well, more of this McCree Aprita things with almost another quad here at the doorway, and allowing this final phase now to be obtained, and wants to clean up this remaining distance.
Oh, Kaneki. Not in that spawn. Just gonna fire a couple of shots, show their presence, not let Up Academy have any of the space. Remember, if this payload stops in the point C phase, it is going to be a lot harder for Team Chaser to keep it moving, but Aprita's got a Deadeye, and that Sleep Dot just got used to send Riven to snooze land. That means nothing's really gonna be able to shut it down, especially with the Winston bubble already being used.
I mean, you had Smiley also commit the pulse bomb there, trying to get a pick onto Aprita, which, again, was a little far thrown, so you lost that value. X-Ray up top now for an engagement. Does get a nice Bionade. Can't escape here. Mike Haley with the damage necessary to get the execution, and Ion's going to look to flank around the back. This is now finally an opportunity for Up Academy to gain some bearings in this last position. But, you know, it's still harassing quite a bit, and you're going to see Aprita going for a ride right now.
A little bit of an overcommitment, honestly, from Up Academy coming through. They wanted to go aggressive and push all of Team Chaser right, but Chiron was actually dueling Aprita, so Iron would have been dead if not for that Primal Rage, and Team Chaser have still been able to come back into this fight. They haven't actually backed out of it. They've moved back in with ultimates, but then they're popping.
And there is a ton locked down in that grab from Riven, with now Seawave looking for a wide flanking position here, potentially to get some view from Team Chaser. Now Riven pressing up front, does get counter-grabbed, attempting to try and lock down multiple members, but there's really not enough at the damage follow-up, and Riven's just still chilling at that 100 energy, being that extra DPS necessary to fulfill that frontline presence.
Spooking all of Up Academy from actually being able to capitalize on that Graviton, and now they don't have it to immediately force Team Chaser to a standstill.
This rotation back just around the semi, to regroup. Minute 35 seconds to go. Ion looking to take down X-Ray is critical to try and force Team Chaser back to finally get that last real engagement before these final meters.
That pick on X-Ray was huge. It means that Riven's actually forced to back out and just try from afar to build up to that Graviton, as opposed to pressing in and using the ham and jump to get the bubble charge to maintain 84 energy. But now he's back and the death comes through again.
Ooh, 1 for 1, but you're gonna lose Keo, which is not ideal. So it's only going to be reliant on lengths until they can get back into this. Aprita tries to get some value, jumping off the high ground with the, again, Deadeye not getting too much here. 55 seconds. Keo's going to get back into this, but you're really solely relying on both this nano boost and the grab.
But the one thing that the Deadeye did do meant that Up Academy weren't able to try and press Team Chaser for ult charge with the Ana gun, and now Team Chaser, they've still got the economy in their favor.
Oh, Riven's going to get a great pick onto the support line in the back. The nano does still come out, though. Riven cleaning up with Kaneki. That is just going to be enough here to push under 1 meter, rotating back. Team Chaser fulfills it with only 31 seconds on the clock, but still having time in the bank is worthwhile.
Yeah, that Deadeye honestly was so smart. Using it, making sure that Up Academy can't press the advantage, can't build up ultimates, be able to counter your next push. And that's what Team Chaser were building their hopes on, right? The second the Ana falls, they know they can't push this properly, but at the same time, they can't leave cleanly, because Up Academy are going to use the fact that your main support is gone, and they're going to just dog your heels. But Team Chaser holding off on that, playing it patiently, and on the defense, playing patiently is really going to be playing into your wheelhouse. It is so crucial that you pick your moments, because we've already seen what happens when one person is out of position and everything falls apart until you can pick it up again on point C.
Easily exploited, and that is going to be a consistency here. And now with the swap assigns and Team Chaser being on the defense, there's quite a mountain to climb here for Up Academy. They found themselves getting the short end of a majority of the engagements and really needing to coordinate themselves. We've seen a lot of it accelerate over the course of this week, and entering into this third day, there has been some definite pros to a lot of their methods of play, but now in these moments like against Team Chaser, where this different type of map style is something you have to make sure that you're not finding yourself out in the open, as you mentioned, and getting picked off and completely shutting down any sort of prevention of the snowball proof.
The one thing that gives me confidence for Up Academy, right, is that Kaneki and Aprita are both on heroes who can be easily shut down by that crowd control. We've seen that Seawave and ZXZ can shut those two DPS down with the flashbang, with the break shield bash, and it's going to be a lot harder for them to be found out of position if they continue to do just that.
early engagements up top towards that cart. Attempting to try and get some value. Lee very, very aggressive, looking to take down their counterpart, but there's still some survival by Riven. Keo dominantly healing through all of that to survive. Even though Lanksa goes down. Now looking to peek this corner. It still has some decent recovery, though, once they get back.
The difference is it's not a one-sided fight, so both teams have actually been able to build up decent ultimate banks. Which means the Up Academy are going to have a fair bit of competition in this next fight, which they still have to win.
Oh, again, another engagement in the backside. Lee there to respond, getting so much value. Seawave gets the pick up onto the Wrecking Ball, attempting now to rotate underneath the gas station. There's still some presence from Team Chaser on the payload point. A lot of shots being fired into that narrow mine shaft up top. And honestly, there's going to be an interesting rotation here from Team Chaser since they're getting picked off and having to route in the back position. Ion's there to meet them on the opposing side, forces the Primal Rage, and now going to just dislodge the sports with Slept coming in by Keo and having a real hard time and finding a lot of dreams in these engagements.
And all the while, this payload hasn't actually really been moving. It's been contested the entire time, and by Team Chase just stalling out this fight, despite both of their supports being completely separated from the team. They've been able to build up to these hammer mines so close to that Graviton, and worse for Up Academy, EMP. The good news is that they're able to keep Team Chasers separated just long enough to pick up that first step.
As they have the doors open for them to press into this next phase, Seawave already going to play towards that stairway to maybe find some flanking positions with the Deadeye. Also, Lee, basically all of Up Academy just wants to go around the backside and collapse onto Team Chaser. Gets some great early opportunity to force them low. Nice stun, but there's an EMP to counter onto Up Academy's aggression, and Team Chaser will instantly exploit.
Clumping up is never a good idea to contest an EMP. It just means more of you are going to get hit, especially in that smaller room. And Team Chaser, even because it was that small a room, they didn't need to use the Graviton. The spacing had already done that for Riven, so they've still got that ultimate to couple up with X-Ray's mines if they need an immediate emergency button to push them to the next fight.
Grass gonna come out with the minefield. A lot committed here from Up Academy. So many, 4 in total, just completely looking to snowball their way out of that archway position where the doors are. And Team Chaser, they do lose quite a bit, but they're still managing to draw back, hold on, and be able to get themselves into a position to recontest.
And they will be able to have another fight, and with Lanksa's rally, they're going to have a lot of aggression to bolster their forces. But ZXZ is also going to have a rally. It's really going to be by the DPS, who are able to hit those ultimates first.
Now you've got X-Ray again, looking to try and get the knockoff up top, not allowing that high ground position to favor Up Academy. And honestly, X-Ray's been doing a stellar job really harassing this back line, finding a lot of opportunity, even with this crowd control that's being tossed on top, escaping more often than not, except for moments like those when Seawave is there to take advantage of the Bionade that lands. Lee getting a little bit dislodged up top, getting some shielding though and protection to find that damage onto the support line. Hold. Well, there you go. Easy cleanup, looking to try and touch this point before they can recontest.
Oh, and Keo going down last means that Team Chaser aren't going to be able to wrangle a contest before that payload hits that check mark. The good news for this team is they will have an EMP to build up to in this next fight. For Up Academy, they can cancel it. If Seawave does not get hit by the EMP, then you can use Deadeye. So even if it comes through, you can use that ultimate to keep Team Chaser zoned out.
And you can see on the long flank, Kaneki trying to get some value and visibility for communication. X-Ray plays that forward position once again. Really just methodical. Maybe gonna get the full spawn? No, he's gonna fall shy. Kaneki not able to get anything with it, attempting to still keep them into the corner as Seaway comes out, does get hit in the Deadeye. No value. Team Chaser finds it, and the hopes and dreams that you said of Seawave being outside of the EMP range falls real short.
Yeah, Predator actually waits for the Deadeye to come through. Seawave was hoping to win a fight immediately with that one. And it means that the EMP is able to catch the Kree out and cancel it. And for Up Academy, they either need to win this fight or lose it fast. They are able to keep Team Chaser on their feet and pushing them back into their spawn. But Team Chaser aren't going elegantly. They're still able to just turn around, do a little bit of damage, build up some ultimates that they can immediately throw into this next fight. Get a whole amount of space for them.
I was really concerned they were going to lose those couple of players to stagger out, especially with this payload continuing to press forward towards that completion. But they've managed to hold on to it. They've got the regroup. Minefield going to come through. Seawave gets hit by the Bionade in the back. Needs to be careful, but there's still an even exchange, 1-for-1. But you've lost the tank. X-Ray no longer able to get that crowd control, and there's a lot riding on the shoulders of Kaneki, who's also eliminated after taking down the support from ZXZ. this regroup. You're going to have Riven playing very aggressively up front as the minefield drops back, and that's going to be a fight win here for Team Chaser, but still quite a bit of time left for multiple reattempts.
Yeah, 2 minutes 30 to be exact, but Team Chaser, they do have a couple of ultimates to play around with, most crucially. Those two support ultimates, they don't want to stack. But no. Smiley's Pulse Bomb can change all of that. That Tracer is able to land it onto Q, and that is quite as good as over.
Now, front, you've got the Tesla Cannon damage generating a lot of percentage towards that ultimate, needing to use it in this engagement, or potentially the follow-up as a grab comes out. Riven tosses it, multiple members stacked up for Up Academy, overrun and overwhelmed as Team Chaser holds off once again.
Oh, big sigh of relief from Team Chaser. Q going down could have spelled disaster for this team. But Lynx's rally is just enough to keep the team on their feet. In Up Academy, they were able to drain a lot of ultimates from Team Chaser, who had to panic with that Ana gone. Just throw in aggression so the Up Academy weren't able to meet it. They do have a Deadeye coming through, and that Nanti is going to make Up Academy wait just a little bit longer. But that means that Mycale is getting closer and closer to this Graviton. There are going to be no support ultimates to counter it from Team Chaser.
They have to take quick advantage of it before anyone from Team Chaser can try and play catch-up with the amount of damage that is coming out from Up Academy. Now have Riven continuing to lob damage onto that high ground, still playing super cautiously. Up Academy waiting to try and go in. Does have the dive potential with the Winston up top onto that balcony. Survive, gets knocked back as a Sea Wave comes from a flanking position. Mycale takes down the X-Ray, so there is the numbers advantage, but Ion is so low and barely survives, and not having to proc that Primal Rage, which still hasn't yet been generated. As the grab comes out of the back, is there an execution on the backside? It's going to be challenging with a lot of healing onto Keo, and finally gets taken down, Mox.
Graviton had to come through before X-Ray was back into the picture, because that's how you couldn't capitalize on it. X-Ray is back in the Hammermites. Oh, finally! Still chugging around, gone just now. Mycale is on a rampage. But are the supports going to be able to keep the tanks up? And Up Academy, without the damage, is forced to pull back again.
They're going to fall shy right towards the end of this. They've got 30 seconds now. They're attempting to still stick into this fight, though. The picks are going to be really challenging since the spawn advantage is here for Team Chaser. They do have a chance to get back into this as a full 6, with it being quite a distance to get back, as Sea Wave has to force this 76 out to get the extra speed to touch with the rest of the team. Bionade again onto Ion, who is not going to be able to dive into this as X-Ray goes for the pile drive in the back. Nice move and pressure away so the follow-through doesn't happen. With Sea Wave getting rid of Kaneki, that's an opportunity. Upgrade goes down. The rally from Lengsa isn't enough, and Keo with that nano boost attempting to equalize here for Team Chaser on the defense is going to fall short, and now the collapse down from Up Academy is trying to push these last few meters.
Mycale, the nano boost is going to run in a couple of seconds, but it's already done enough. And Team Chaser, even though they have the closer respawns, they don't have the damage, they don't have the numbers to be able to keep holding on to this. Greta tries to go for that Deadeye, isn't able to find anything. And that is going to be Up Academy in overtime, able to finally get that payload in. If they hadn't come in to point seek with that massive time bank, able to keep that payload rolling through A and be virtually uncontested, we would be seeing a very different result right now.
And there's only a small different result between the time banks here. 31 extra seconds for Team Chaser, so they will be on the defensive side first, since they do have the superior time bank. As Up Academy on the attack again had a little bit of a struggle towards the start of it, and with this minute and 31 seconds, it's going to really be down to the wire trying to peek around that initial corner underneath the bridgeway, that catwalk where they're going to look to try and potentially sustain. And, you know, I'm not going to see anything different here coming out from Team Chaser. Kaneki has been doing a stellar job on this Tracer when able to find a lot of valuable picks, causing a lot of pressure onto Smiley, going for that TVT, or even looking to just harass that support lineup as well.
Yeah, for Up Academy, though, you have to push it past point A.
Yeah.
We've seen what happens on their defense. Team Chaser have got to be feeling very confident with how fast they were able to pick up point A. So for Up Academy, they have to win this first fight. It is integral. Otherwise, it is just going to become a mess, an ultimate race, as you scrap for any little bit of distance you can gather.
As these seconds dwindle, the doors to open. Up Academy already finding an early map for themselves. Can they come out and make it a second? The Team Chaser equalize for a 1-1 score. Gonna try and press up again towards this high ground position, finding out where you're going to see both Kaneki and also X-Ray looking at this early dislodgement from the high ground. Looking for a decent power drive. Gets a lot of damage onto Mycale and goes down, and you don't want to see that early.
Yeah, that is one half of the double bubble rotation completely denied, and already Team Chaser moving forward, knowing that the supports aren't going to be as safely covered as they once were, and Kaneki can go right for the backline. Still sticking around in tunnels and occupying Smiley's time means that Kyo and Lengsic are just free to keep pumping their front line full of healing. Upper Academy finally back in numbers, go for a second attack.
Haley opting now to come in here with that diva positioning to see if they can get the opportunity to change this outcome. A nice pickup onto X-Ray. That's at least a start as the overtime will commence. And again, the longer this goes, the faster it dwindles, with Mike Haley having to just drop down to survive before the Demon, because the Bionade landed. But Seaway's eliminated. This is going to be so challenging to get back into this. Has to swap to 76. I'd not be surprised to see it otherwise, as Ion, with that nano, gets the pickup. The follow through also with Smiley. They have an opportunity as long as their focus fire is true, but there's still multiple numbers dwindling around the payload. No one can stick close. And you've got the hold here from Team Chaser just past the ATM gas sign.
Oh, what did we say Up Academy needed to do, Rich?
I know. I know!
Get us point A!
Well,
I mean, that swap onto the Diva was really good, and I will say that Mike Haley's looking a lot more comfortable on the Diva.
agreed.
But unfortunately, it came through just a little bit late. If you'd run out with the Diva to begin with, then maybe you'd have been able to keep that payload push. You wouldn't have let Team Chaser build up to the ultimates using Defense Matrix to deny that damage. But what is in the past is in the past, and now Up Academy have to make sure that the past does not repeat itself. They cannot get caught out of position, and I like this. You can't be too aggressive with an Orisa, right?
No.
Ion's going to be coming in with that shield. It's going to be a lot harder for Team Chase to try and find angles around it, especially if Mike Healy is going to be on that Diva. You can just sniff around, use those boosters. Any sort of space that Team Chase are trying to wrap around to deal with the Orisa shield can just be completely denied by that defense matrix. But what is this?
It worries me. They're going to play very aggressive. But here's the thing, though, is where the cart had moved to completion, I'm so concerned that it's in a really weird spot for you to actually get back for a second contest, Mox.
Especially when you're running the Orisa and you don't have to lose it with the speed boost. This is rolling the dice, and if you misplace a single couple of centimeters, you're not going to have that speed boost to be able to get that touch as soon as you want it to. As Team Chaser, I mean, Aprita's going to go onto the Reaper for a little bit, senses that there might be a close fight coming through, and will head away to put the Reaper in with those twin-barrel shotguns.
This risk is more risky than Door with his prediction. Let's just put it there. We've got X-Ray now uptown looking for the final drive into the back line. Lot's going to be repositioned. You do have at least a lot of sustain, though, with the Baptiste. The Immortality Field still being held on to. X-Ray looking for a knockback. Potentially going to get the environmental, but the boots are there with a Bionade landing onto two. Immortality Field finally comes out, and actually Up Academy survives for most of it, but Langsa takes down their counterpart. The Brig has been eliminated. You're solely relying now onto the Baptiste, who has the amplification matrix, and Smiley's still keeping this fight going.
Chiron just eats the pulse bomb. Immortality Field had already been used, and Team Chaser are coming out on top, and now Up Academy better hope that they have enough distance to be able to touch this payload, as Ion is going to be forced onto that Hammond. Not for the Hammond mines, but just to get in time into this fight. But X-Ray can just completely ruin your day with these mines and not let you get the touch you want.
I mean, to be fair, they did have a decent enough hold that it was close enough to where the payload had initially moved, so they should be able to have a okay engagement on this. But yes, it's still a risk. You've lost the ultimate economy. Ion, again, only there for the contention, managing to get it into the overtime as it's 5 meters to go. Smiling on the upper position, looking for potentially a pulse bomb into the backside, going for the support. But Ion eliminated. Riven finds it. 1-for-1 exchange as there's 5-5, but nobody touches their away, and Team Chaser manages to pick this up.
Yeah, that gamble, admirable though it is, and they had the right composition for it. You go for the BAP, so you don't have to worry about building up to an ultimate to save your team. If the fight starts to go out of hand, you do have that Immortality Field. You've got the Orisa to have that stability, but what it means is you don't have the time for the setup in that final fight. And yes, you had Amplification Matrix. That could have been an absolute game changer. Yes. But what happens? The re-engagement is sloppy. You don't have the time. It has to come out when you're pushed onto that high ground, and that means it doesn't get the benefit, the value that it should have gotten if you'd been able to set it up sooner and get it as Team Chaser are actually moving into that fight. then you would have had the chance not only to zone them off the cart, but maybe even get a pick and immediately win that overtime. But it's a gamble. They tried something, it didn't work, and they just have to go again in the next map.
I mean, you know, again, it's a 1-for-1. We were looking to have a lengthy day of Overwatch, so this is going to for sure allow us to continue that, to see who's going to be able to move forward. But again, we do have a small break here before getting into our third map, so don't go anywhere, friends, before we get to see who is going to take this third one and get themselves one step closer to that grand final slot to face off against Billy Billy. Welcome back, friends, as we are here to continue on to see these two teams battle it out for that grand final slot to be facing off against Billy. We've already seen a 1-to-1 map score, just finishing up with Route 66 just before the break. And Moxie, you know, you were really looking forward to, and I was as well, seeing the, positioning for Up Academy being a little bit further on Route 66 just because of how Team Chaser has played. They've managed to pull through, as you stated, and, gain that extra point. Now that we're going to be entering into our next map, and what are you kind of thinking about here as we're going to be entering onto Temple of Anubis when it comes to Team Chaser, who is going to be on the defense first?
Right, well, first of all, I would definitely say for Team Chaser, they look a lot stronger on the defense, right? They know that they have that point of reset where we're not really seeing Up Academy lean into the point of reset. They try and keep these fights going and going and going, and a lot of the time that really plays quite heavily into how the defense works, because if you're not winning these fights immediately, the longer it goes on, the better position the defense is when it comes to that time bank. But flip that on the side, Up Academy attacking first, I'm a little bit more confident about it, especially since that Route 66, because it means that Mike Haley can go aggressive rather than trying to go for that peel of the Zarya that we saw previously on Route 66. And I've got to say, his D.Va is looking a lot more comfortable than any of the other roles for his offense.
And as you can see, Kyo already waiting to lob that Bionade right for the door to open. Some early value. Looking to see how perfect that is. Oh, it's going to be eaten, of course, Mike Haley.
Deflectors was that too.
That
Unfortunately,
too.
you can hear
everything's gonna prevent it.
Just going absolutely crazy. As a Prince, that's a Widowmaker, but it's Kaneki who's going to be getting first contact on that ledge on Pharah.
Ion goes quickly onto the middle high ground to try and get some decent test of cannon damage. Has to bail out because there is a lot being pumped into that scientist. As we've got already 30 seconds off the clock. And again, Aprita really needs to try and find some value here on this front position, especially because there's really only the Winston shield to try and block sidelines. And Kaneki up top can really just be able to reign free for right now because no one can particularly handle it. A lot's going to be on the shoulders of Mike K. Lee.
Yeah, so both of the DPS right now for Team Chaser are just making so much space for each other. No one can properly try and deal with Kaneki because they don't have the line of sight. The bar is playing around this natural spacing so well, and anyone who tries to move into that space immediately gets their head taken off by Aprita.
Ooh, but Mike Lee getting Langsa is very helpful to prevent Kaneki from feeling as comfortable. Aprita does get the Infrasights, though, with all the damage that they've been putting out from the back line, and you're actually going to have Langsa swap onto the brick for a more close encounter and type of engagement. Now with Kaneki out of this fight, you really only are solely relying on the damage throughput by Aprita, which is not going to be easy when Mike K. Lee's going to be jumping on that spider quickly and saying, I've got a big Omnic foot here to try and push you.
Has to go for a health pack though, and that does mean that Team Chaser should be able to mobilize for a contest if they want to. And you can already see Riven is trying to touch, gets Mace Flail, but is still able to keep it in time.
D-Mech there, quick cleanup to make sure that they can shut that down. But yes, it does buy a little bit more seconds here for contention as he's got the Wrecking Ball play from X-Ray. And actually they're looking to peek in this, getting a decent amount of engagement. Smiley takes down Kaneki so they don't have to worry about that high ground rocket damage positioning. And at this point, it's just a matter of how many seconds can Team Chaser dwindle from this block.
Yeah, and as well as that, how many ultimates can Up Academy farm off of this fight, because it hasn't reset. And Up Academy, when they actually went on to this point at first, they didn't really have any ultimates. Going into point B, because Team Chaser stayed in that fight for so long, they're gonna be coming in with 6.
Yep. Got a whole handful.
Kyo just used the nano boost, so you're putting all of your Chaser-sized eggs in the shape of Kaneki and this barrage, and you don't even have the nano boost to make this Pharah actually durable when you pop her.
Oh, EMP onto 3. Does get rid of Kaneki. No rockets shall rain for this engagement. Smiley still continues to press forward, looking to try and find that blade in the back to go for the support. Kyo's gonna get taken down before even the blade gets it. But there's still some lustful engagement in the back with the blade getting Langsa out of the fight. 2 ticks already going to be obtained, looking for a quick third. And Up Academy right now coming in with a swiftness.
Yeah, Team Chaser were trying to bait them into using ultimates on that point A, and Up Academy did not fall for it for a singular second. They knew that they needed that snowball potential, that they would have one good shot before Team Chaser were actually able to use ultimates of their own to hold on to that point B, which is a lot harder for attacking teams to be able to grab control of with the way that the lanes are set out, especially if Kaneki would be sticking on that Pharah. So just by being patient, having that sense of timing, Up Academy are able to come in with 6 ultimates and absolutely steamroll over Team Chaser, who were left a little bit shattered. Because now we will see the sides flip, and for me, this is what we have to see that growth from Up Academy, right? They can't go as aggressive as we saw in Route 66. We've seen that they understand the spacing, the timing, and the ultimate bank and how important it can be in this space. They have to do that on their defense now.
And as they look with their composition, not going to bring out the Orisa or anything of the sort for a shield type of composition, solely sticking onto this synergy between Seawave and Smiley on the Sombra and the Tracer. And again, that aggression, as you've commented, is something to really keep tabs on. And I think that Up Academy here, with what they've learned from their defensive position prior and adaptation and how they're going to handle Team Chaser, and really keep an eye on Kaneki, because if you're not going to see the Pharah come out, they're going to really need to keep a quick and solid eye onto where the positioning is of this Tracer, and also the Wrecking Ball.
Keep a solid eye on Chiron as well, because if there's any way to be able to tell whether Up Academy are going aggressive, it's whether or not the Ana stays alive. If Chiron is forced to go out of position to keep Mycale in your crosshairs, that's when you know over-aggression has been played.
A little bit of change up here. X-Ray is going to opt to go onto the Winston versus the Wrecking Ball, so it won't get the hard crowd control that we've seen. Possible re-engagements. The Winston goes up top, getting a decent amount of damage, potentially looking for the follow-up onto the support line. Almost able to remove the Ana play. Does still survive with the assistance of ZXZ. Ion also has to be extremely careful. There is some great follow-through from Kaneki, just uncontested, really, in this flanking position, pumping in damage to Ion and Mycale, and you're going to have Team Chaser with that flanking assistance do so much with Riven up front, fueled by this almost 100 energy.
So Up Academy actually do the opposite of aggression. They play passive, wait for Team Chaser to come to them, and then they try and counter-dive the dive that comes through on Chiron, but they actually all retreat back into that side room, and that side room has multiple entrances. And Team Chaser just wait before they actually properly engage until they have control of both of them, and then pins the Up Academy right there. Seawave just trying to build up to an EMP. They don't want to use it in this fight, they just want to have it on hold on B.
Here's the concern now, though. You're going to actually have Seaway commit this, and you've got a lot going into this. We might just see the same outcome previously, where Team Chaser's going to hold on. They're going to generate these ultimates. They've lost a couple, though. Lynx and Riven have been eliminated. Aprita as well. So it's not going to be as clean, but they're still getting a lot of ultimate economy out of this box.
Yeah, it's not as clean, it's not as one-sided, but when it comes to ultimate and wherewithal, it's the exact same story. Team Chaser hold on to every single one of theirs, and Up Academy just use their best tool at stopping Team Chaser in their tracks.
Yeah, overzealous, I would say. Again, you make the decisions and hope that they pay off, but in this case, it's a little bit under par, with now a pulse pump coming through, able to withstand. Langston goes down with a follow-up by Ion because the nano boost came through. Has the Primal Rage held on to, and this is the long-run engagement and control that we're going to need to see from Up Academy for now just under 5 minutes.
They need to cycle these fights, though, until Seawave is able to build up to another EMP. And Team Chaser, the second that nano boosted monkey comes to them, they know that fight is gone. They still hold on to their ultimates. They've still got all of their cards, but I really like this, that Up Academy are actually using this absolute gauntlet that you have before you even see the sides to keep just taking these fights for longer.
Yeah, Mycale clips Riven and manages to get that takedown, though there is some presence on the point, and you've lost both Seawave and Chiron to make sure that they can hold on to this point. At least just buying some time is critical with Up Academy to regroup and fall back. They've got the respawn advantage, and you're going to have X-Ray now forcing out the Primal Rage to get some engagement in the back line.
Well, no Brigida, the pulse bombs, these Lynx are out of this fight, but Aprita is still something that you have to worry about. But remember, without that Brigida, it's going to be a lot harder for this team to be able to stay alive. No rally, no armor, no shield bash to shut Seawave down.
And no time is more pressing than now to try and compete with 2 ticks gone. Pulse Bomb comes in by Kaneki, tanking down Ion. Seawave eliminated immediately after, one after another. The supports are just trying to hold the corner until we can potentially get more for Up Academy online from the spawn, as Smiley gets nanoed and actually cleans up Kaneki quickly, dashing immediately into every one of those pulse pistols. Now you're actually going to see a recovery here. The Pulse Bomb comes out, still doesn't manage to get the extra damage, but Team Chaser has been stopped.
And Team Chaser has been stopped before Seawave cannot get that EMP online. There it is!
Oh! Flash!
Flashbang right where the Sombra is!
C-Wave is known for being shut down by flashbangs. That is the second time this week we've seen it. First on the ground floor, but this time translocated into mid-air. C-Wave's, just as Kenobi said yesterday, gonna have to uninstall after that one.
And Team Chaser should be able to pick up point B off the back of that EMP up Academy. Had put all of their hopes into it. It would have cut all of them out. And yes, they're still stalling. They're still burning time off the bank, but this is just delaying the inevitable, Rich. As Team Chaser, it's not as much time as Up Academy have to play around with, but still, what flair picking up that point in style.
Can I just, like, get a portion of that reflex on a McCree? Like, for my gameplay? Like, I just want, like, a fraction of that. Because that, I saw it yesterday when I was VOD reviewing, and I was like, oh, you know, C-Wave's just having a rough time. Like, that's just a rough time. No. This map is C-Wave's bane of existence on point B for EMPs. Like, that's so unfortunate because you're very correct. The positioning on that would have for sure hit at least 3. At least in that
It would
open
have
space
caught
with
the
pillars.
supports, it would have caught the front line, it would have caught the DPS, you would have been able to just surge up. You were so close. Iron was even on the Reinhardt. So the second that you don't have to worry about the sleep dart, you drop your shield and you swing.
Yep. But it's those heads-up plays. Alberta came in big. And now you see the swap of sides here where it's going to be the attacking position by Team Chaser. 2 minutes to work with. Because again, Up Academy does have the superior time bank, but the recent plays have definitely said that Team Chaser's still in this to potentially take this map of Anubis.
Same comp too. Up Academy, they can't afford to get shoved into that side room because I'm surprised that Team Chaser didn't just send Kaneki on that tracer to go touch point with all of Up Academy stuffed up in there.
You see already some nice early damage. C-Wave going to be a critical and vital role to this defensive position, attempting to get those hacks. Slow down the aggression from Team Chaser, who is going very quickly in. Already takes down a support. Now the tanks, everyone just looking at the health bars being eviscerated. And you've got Up Academy just completely deconstructed in front of our eyes.
Yeah, the difference that time is that Ion tries to go for a counter dive in the actual backline, but it's too late. Chiron is just melted in front of our eyes because, again, they go for that side room. And another big difference is that C-Wave has not been able to build up to the EMP in that time. Team Chaser can come into this with a Deadeye if they're able to hit the shots, and it's a Predator. He's already 73% to that ultimate. C-Wave so far from that EMP has to get it online in breakneck speed if they want to hold on to B.
And you can just see how aggressive Aprita is, just knowing, like, I'm gonna look for this. I'm hungry. I'm wanting a flashbang pick in the back onto that Tracer play. Smiley just really with a frown on their face for these engagements with now a minute and 12 seconds. Aprita continuing to force, looking with this just vision in the corner, potentially gonna get a pick up the sleep onto C-Wave in the back to try and prevent it, and goes down! Aprita's there to shut it out. Once again, no EMP, but a Bionate lands onto Riven and Lenksa, and you've got a pulse bomb to follow through from both sides. Gaining one, but still for the advantage now is Team Chaser with the ultimates at their stacked advantage. C-Wave has to get something big here.
C-Wave with the EMP is not going to get shut down this time, and it does catch out 3 members from Team Chaser. Remember, it's still not overtime though, so even if they get stepped off the point, they still get to continue this map.
And now Ion going to get hit by the Bionate into the primal range. No healing available. Lost that just complete disruption factor to try and regroup. But again, you've got the spawn advantage, so Ion can get back into this quickly to try and contest it. No ticks have been obtained so far because of the presence from Up Academy.
Extra is actually going to be coming out onto the Reinhardt, thought about the Hammond, but has decided to go for the German with the rocket-powered hammer. And it's a really good idea, right? If there's a counter dive, the Reinhardt had so much space to move forward, but Up Academy with that mobility is able to keep Team Chaser on this main ground and absolutely no one touches!
You may have the gavel for judgment, but if it's not hitting the table, no response or conclusion has been said.
Okay, can we get a judge skin for Reinhardt?
Can we please? Can we?
Please?
Could you imagine seeing just the fabric blowing in the wind when he's about to make it like I mean, come on. Do we give
just
him
like
some
the
kind
wig?
Of
Yeah. I see it. I see it. The robes, the wig, the book.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
Nice
instead of the fire strike, he throws legal papers.
Oh my goodness, no. So it would still be the fire strike, but the legal papers are coming off of the fire strike.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
And then
doing
give him the
that.
voice line, "You've been served," and it's perfect. But
I mean, to be fair, you know, the Earth Shatter opens up like cracks in the earth, and they say, you know, a lot of lawyers are always, every.
I think
Even our
we're running
maybe
off on a tangent here, Rich. But I
It's
mean, I've
okay.
got to say, we've made art today.
We really have, and with our producer in the background, I could swear I heard a Law and Order thing where it would be every time he slams, all you hear is dun dun.
Oh, we're not quite done. So
No, we're
We're
not.
gonna be seeing side swap Team Chaser on the defense. They're opting into this defensive dive. They seem to be pulling it off just a little bit better than Up Academy. And if you can hold on to point A for these first couple of fights, that's gonna be a pretty nice way to tie up Anubis.
So we've got some early aggression already towards that side room. A lot of stakes here. This defensive position for Team Chaser is there's already a little bit of hesitation for this engagement because Up Academy has to really pick their battles. They do have the superior time bank, but C-Wave getting X-Ray is a vital addition to this engagement. But now C-Wave looking to get back into this, especially with that pack taken in the back line to prevent anyone from getting it. But X-Ray should be able to get back into this quite quickly with how slow that engagement happened. Now so many of Up Academy going to be forcing Team Chaser up that stairway, easily going to take the first tick and looking for the second very fast.
But Team Chaser can contest this, and remember, C-Wave has been relegated to try and keep X-Ray out of the fight. He hasn't been able to burn anyone down to build up to an EMP. So even though Up Academy are actually coming out on top of this, they're investing ultimates into it, and that means they're draining their bank for what they're going to have for B.
I mean, again, though, you've got 3 minutes to work with, so there is some trial and error here. You'd prefer not to have much of it, but again, when you're only going to commit those 2 ultimates, you can still get some value in from Smiley and C-Wave as they're nearing their ultimate economy. They should get quite a bit to push this in this 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well, C-Wave should have got a huge EMP a little bit earlier on this very map, and the player's going to be looking for that flashbang shutdown yet again. Team Chaser almost going to be relying on it, in fact, because they don't have anything else aside from this Graviton to try and deal when that EMP comes through.
And you can already see the loss of Kaneki's pulse bomb, but again, still enough time to generate another one with how aggressive Kaneki's been in the back. Attempting to get that Deadeye quickly. Same thing with Lengths and X-Ray to stack up these ultimates and rotate necessary. As a grab comes through, Mike Lee gonna be up front and center. Gets a lot of protection from the barrier and the healing, but cannot survive with a Bionade lands. And you've got Team Chaser holding defensively, but again, now we're trying to get these ultimates back up for this second to third potential fight that they're going to get in that time bank.
And C-Wave's being just a little bit more reserved with this EMP, and that is character growth. Up Academy not wanting to put it into that fight when they were caught in a Graviton, when a Predator was trying to keep as much distance as possible to catch this on right if an EMP was attempted with that Deadeye. And he is setting up. The thing is, he's also trying to figure out where a Predator is playing.
Oh, doesn't get spotted out there. Played real close to that one. And just waiting patiently, but Kaneki gets a quick 2 pickup with a follow-through. That's going to be rough. You have at least C-Wave trying to backcap, almost gets it. And has to regroup, falling back here with the team, and have to take another stab at this.
And now you have to set up in the backline again. Up Academy taking just a little bit too long to get all of their positions into place, and Team Chaser, they know if they're able to take that Ana out of the way, even if an EMP comes out, they don't have to worry about it because there's going to be no team to move forward and capitalize on it. And what was a healthy time bank is now dwindling out rapidly as Up Academy have one decent push left before it becomes an all-out scrabble.
Yep, it's all or nothing now. You need to be so cautious pressing into this. A lot of damage coming out onto Mike Lee into this narrow position. You've got CXE leading with the rally to give that extra armor necessary to withstand going into this flanking position. C-Wave go for the EMP, does not get countered. Both tanks are hit. Langsa, though, comes out. Big Bionade as well with a pulse bomb to follow through. Cleaning up quickly. You've got Up Academy just needing to finalize the last few that remain, and they will be able to get this last pick and manage to make it a 2-1 map score lead for Up.
EMP, it only gets 2, but it catches both tanks. Most importantly, it catches Riven when you're 97% to a Graviton,
Yes.
and completely denies any form of stabilization that Chaser could have relied on. Even though the supports are fine, the rally could have been that you don't have the Graviton, you don't have anything that immediately clumps everyone up. And because if the Graviton comes out, not only do you have the stabilization, you also get a whole amount of time for a Winston to get the cleave long enough to hit that Primal Rage, and then you're on a fight stall, and that's always going to benefit the defending team whose respawns are right behind the door.
I mean, I gotta be real transparent though. I did not foresee Up Academy bringing it to a match point right now, entering into the grand finals with, you know, Team Chaser being put in the hot seat right now. And again, they've not played badly. They've been really doing a stellar job, but additions to, you know, this diva play from Mike Lee and just the confidence, and we've said it over the course of, you know, the last couple of days, just the decisive strategic decisions have really allowed Up Academy to elevate themselves more so than I think any of us really anticipated.
Yeah, character growth, I think, is the best way that we can really describe this team right now. They looked a little bit unsteady on day one, but we talked about it. It's a new team. They're trying to figure out how they're going to play around, and when you have someone coming in on an off tank, that's hard. It really is. You have to have that communication going, not just between your tanks, but your support lineup and your DPS as well, because the tank is there to make space and set everyone else up so they can do their roles better. And we talked about how they're only going to get better and stronger as time progresses, and they are able to get that chemistry going. And now we're seeing what happens. Looked a little bit unsteady on that first attack when they were coming in for Anubis, but they realized their mistakes. They realized they were going a little bit too gung-ho with the ultimates, and the second that they actually corrected what was out of line, we saw such a stronger team.
And, you know, now finding themselves on match point, they're feeling confident. Like, they know that they have an opportunity to take down the team that, you know, we've been talking about, you know, being the real rival to Billy. But, you know, with this map set coming up, as you can see, we are entering into King's Row. And taking a look at, you know, the history for King's Row, we had Up Academy is actually going to be defending first, too, that we've just been informed as well. So they do get that defensive position, seeing how they can hold their own on this map. And what we typically saw, too, for, you know, the King's Row defensive position, it came out still, you know, uniquely with C-Wave on this Hanzo play. Not going to opt to do that this time around, though, sticking with C-Wave with this McCree play to have that flashbang potential, the crowd control, the hit scan, just in case you're going to be seeing a Pharah play once again by Kaneki, which is possible here in this composition, especially since Lynx is hovering over the Mercy.
Well, I need to see consistency from Up Academy, and I'm sure you do too, Rich. We've seen them be able to pull it back on Anubis, but Route 66, when they were defending, it was just spiral. One long fight that never really shut down. And Team Chaser, if they're running Kaneki on this May, they're going to be looking for long spiraling fights where they can use those walls to stop Up Academy's retreat and absolutely farm them for old Judge.
See now, great wall up top separating two, but there is still some sustained, very, very reactive play by Up Academy to keep alive in that. There is still some presence down below. They're going to forfeit this potential point, but X-Ray's actually going to get a nice... What a great dislodge in that positioning up top. I can't even do that much geometry in my life.
Well, one thing that Up Academy can't do, though, is really contest this point and keep control of the high ground. In fact, they're having to send one body at a time. A conga line of sacrifices, if you will, to stop Team Chaser from picking up entirely because they're not running that diva. Achilles on the Zara to try and give Ion a little bit more safety to jump in, and that means that Team Chaser can just play on point and wait for Up Academy to walk into them.
I mean, that's the easiest just pickup in a while I've seen with the strategic positioning when it comes from the wrecking ball, just constant pressure in the hallways. The supports are not able to keep this team alive, dropping down. Up Academy now on this defensive position have been broken, and they have to rally in this streets phase, but it's such a challenge as we've seen before, Moxie.
They're not going to have the space either to try and hold in this choke. They have to win a fight before they get that hallowed ground where the payload can stop almost permanently, and X-Rays is going to look to separate this. Team doesn't have the hammer mines, but can still set everyone up for a dive to come through.
There was a big Bionade onto 3. Pulse Bomb's going to come out to get rid of C-Wave, despite Aperta being taken down just before its explosion. 4 minutes and 40 seconds, already approaching these final meters to beat this last corner with Riven so high charged, eliminating and basically microwaving anyone close in proximity. Smiley even being a little bit of food for their own bait. You've got this checkpoint that should be easily picked up here by Team Chaser.
I'm just denying Team Chaser ultimate charge, okay?
Yep.
It's
We'll
the
let that one
logical
slide.
exit, but Team Chaser don't really need to worry about building up ultimate charges. They still have all of the snowball potential. In Upper Academy, they do have a grab on. This can be huge, but Team Chaser are just not allowing them the time to be able to set anything up. They want to draw these fights out. They want to make sure that Upper Academy don't get a reset, a time to resync this composition. But they're actually going to get a nice clean exit and a grab to actually come back into this fight.
Can this gain value? A rally is going to be there from Langsa as Riven with the counter grab pulls multiple together. This is just a extremely dominant play from Team Chaser right now. Even just attempting to get that last checkpoint, the plays have been on point from Langsa, continuing to just maneuver and knock back individuals to prevent contention and find themselves caught out in the open. Team Chaser, if they don't finish with, you know, less than 4 minutes, I would be surprised.
Yeah, this could be a very fast king throw, but Upper Academy do have still potential. Ion is going to have the Primal Rage, and you've got the rally as well to give everyone a little bit of armor. And Team Chaser just not allowing them to see the cut. They're keeping them stuffed up in all of these small angles, letting Riven just absolutely buzzsaw them down.
Yep, and you've got at least a 1-for-1 trade, but again, the respawn advantage is in favor of Up Academy with Riven still getting a lot of damage. The Nano Boost comes out up front, energy is high. And Keo giving some still great assistance with the damage, not being overrun by this play from Smiley. Caught out again, Aperta with lightning focus to prevent that backline from being taken over. And Keo just free to pump out healing necessary to reach this checkpoint under 3 meters. The grab comes up again from Riven with such quick generation, and they get it with 4 minutes and 6 seconds on the time bank.
Consistency was something we said we needed to see from Up Academy when it came to defending. And Team Chaser showed they knew exactly how to apply pressure to make sure all of that character growth completely crumbled. They chased. They grabbed so much space. They made sure that every single fight, they were the ones coming out and top in kills, ultimate charges, aggression, everything that they had. In the second that we saw Up Academy maybe have the time to recover, the regroup coming through, Team Chaser forced them to fight on their own terms yet again. What should have been a Primal Rage stalling on the payload turned into an absolute squabble in very small, cramped up quarters and just allowed Team Chaser to run rampant.
Up Academy's got to be rattled from that one. I mean, just with how precise, and even just acknowledging those few, you know, let's say, not so clean engagements where X-Ray kept getting blocked by Kaneki's wall up top. Like, even with those, like, few subtle, just little miscommunications of engagement, like, it still didn't matter. Like, they played so perfectly in that I am absolutely going to be floored at what we see with Up Academy coming out here, attempting to try and get this type of monumental of a time bank.
It's a smart adaptation. Smiley's only going to be on the widow for the first couple of seconds looking for a pick. And then you're gonna probably transition over to the far. And even running Myceli on the D.Va means that Kaneki's danger is diminished massively because the D.Va can just boost over those walls. In fact, they're not actually gonna run Smiley on that far. It's gonna be the Tracer. A C-Wave opting for the Hanzo, going for a little bit. There's the fire swap. They know that the May's going to be in play. They're going to do everything they can to move around those walls. And it's going to be really important that you can mobilize around those walls because Ion on the Orisa is so static. If you get walled off and the defense boost isn't there, yeah, that Orisa is dead.
And you don't really have anything to hard counter the Pharah at this moment. You don't have the D.Va from the tank lineup. You really only have to rely on potentially Langsa getting that hit scan or potentially a couple of great icicles. Here's a couple, but Smiley manages to evade and gets topped up here. Getting back just around the hotel. Has to actually be still pretty careful. Langsa is getting a lot of damage and healing out from that high ground position. Uncontested. Sleep Dart just whizzes by the Pharah. Not going to be any sleep moments for you, Smiley. Honestly, at this point, I still give Team Chaser credit for them holding on to this despite the far play.
Yeah, the difference is that Team Chaser, they're not really trying to hold on to the high ground. They've given it up in favor of fighting on this point. And it means that they're not fighting separated. Up Academy can't pick anyone off who's vulnerable because everyone just retreats back to the backline and gets pumped full of healing. So much so that Lanxa and Kyo are both already almost sitting at ultimates. And Smiley and Seawave have been doing a lot of damage on the sidelines, but they haven't been coming up in the kill feeds.
Smiley's still going to look for a decent amount of damage and now has the Rocket Barrage ready to unleash. But a Team Chaser for this defensive position, one tick has already been obtained, so there's some value. But again, there's still a lot more to gain. Smiley comes out with a Rocket Barrage, does get picked up, pulls bomb onto the tank as well. You've got 2 down. Team Chaser, numbers advantage, ultimate economy advantage, and feeling really strong here on this defense.
Yeah, the nano boost even to try and make sure that Smiley finds something in that barrage, but the thing is, nano barrage only stays up so long, and Immortality Field counters any damage that can be done in that time. And Up Academy just used one of their best initiators. Team Chaser still holding on. Yes, they've given 1 tick up, but they've still got, when these fights reset, control of this choke.
Vision through the hotel. From underneath, Seawave attempting to try and find some value. Has the Dragon Strike holstered, but will unleash it. It's quite a... Oh! Does get the dislodge from the concussion rocket, but slept in the midst of it all, finding themselves at the short end of the stick with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. You need Up Academy to fall back and try and recover, but there's still so much aggression from Team Chaser that they should get this advantage once again.
Blizzard actually going to be forced out from Kaneki now that Up Academy are coming up in the kill feeds. They want this fight to reset. They want to have control of that choke so that Kaneki can get set up again. That's exactly what it's going to allow them to do. Pulse Bomb with just ever so slightly. But Up Academy can finally start getting a little bit of percentage and a breathing space. Team Chaser, if they want to contest this, they have the Graviton. Kaneki's even actually going to go on to the Genji to try and deal with Chiron in his back line.
I mean, they're going to look for this engagement. You're going to have expert going in. Nano Boost is there to make sure that you get that extra damage and potential to try and find the back line of Seawave. Climbing the wall, you cannot escape fast enough, my friend, is Team Chaser. Despite giving some breathing room for Up Academy, you're going to have a great recovery hold, preventing it that 90.3%. And at this point, it's final fight with desperation from Up Academy.
Well, Up Academy will have 2 ultimates to play with, but Karon actually used that amplification matrix to just try and pump everyone full of healing on that point. Immortality Field could be your one saving grace if you can keep Smiley alive through this barrage and it finds something. That's the door opened, and Team Chaser don't have the maid. Kaneki can't actually play Guillotine with that choke to keep this team in place. But Seawave going down is massive. Up Academy did not need that kill.
No, but now the Rockets come out. They do get 1, but Aperta finds the retaliation, looks for the recall back onto the point. Minefield's going to be tossed to try and zone out. Hail Mary of a self-destruct doesn't get anyone. The overtime's going to dwindle, and despite how close Ultra Prime is here for their recovery, it's not going to be enough. Easy focus fire for Team Chaser, and that's going to make us now have a 2-2 map score. We'll be finding that 5th map, unless there's a miraculous turnaround here.
There's no ultimates online. If Ion had those hammer mines to stuff Team Chaser's movement up, maybe you can translate that into kills, but there's just nothing, and this is just burning out seconds.
As they finally dwindle to nothing. Team Chaser takes this map, and now it is a 2-2 before we enter into our control map to make the deciding factor for who will be pressing on to this grand finals. And again, it's definitely a test of will for Up Academy right now, and they've been, you know, even though we've definitely commented on some of their pitfalls and how they've not been able to defensively maintain a lot of positioning, they're still being able to recover in other aspects of these engagements that give them a real chance.
Yeah, especially, you know, because it's a control point, which means that there's less space to be able to back out. That's their main issue, trying to figure out when to back out and when to come back in, and control point doesn't really let you do that, right? You either have control of the point and you get to push forward aggressively, or you don't have control of the point and you're trying to attack it. So I think if there's any map type that allows Up Academy to come back into this and prevent Chaser from coming out on top, it's the one that we're going to be heading into.
And as we take a look at the map, Seb, you can get a great vision of what this day has been so far. Back and forth, up to Chaser, and now we find ourselves on Lijiang Tower, where we could possibly say that this year's longest controlled Lijiang Tower map was with and including Up Academy against T1W. It was a fight to the finish. I mean, even Kenobi was just saying it was just, I think, like 8 minutes worth of the control map itself. It was like a whole series in and of itself on this night market map specifically. So we're coming out strong here for these two teams to see who can take the early round advantage.
It's going to be interesting as well to see whether these teams try and go for that Pharah. If someone tries to go for the aggressive play and keep control of that Sky, or if another team tries to go for the counter play and then both end up rolling out with Pharah counters and no Pharah to counter.
I mean, it's possible, because this is that fifth map. It's do or die here, because this is the last opportunity to be able to move forward, as this is the loser's bracket, with C-Wave now looking to stick onto that McCree. And you're going to be going into Kaneki once again on this Mei.
That's going to be so hard for Upper Academy to deal with, because if the dive comes through, the Mei wall is going to be that to actually shut Chiron down on the Xana. No line of sight means no heals for your Winston.
The division can be so critical, especially because of how tight these corridors are, especially if you don't allow the team to move through. You've got Up Academy getting overwhelmed. X-Ray finds the pickup, pile drive in the back, looks for the follow through onto ZXZ, and so many health values are low. There's no way that you're going to have Up Academy recover from this, and Team Chaser takes the initial fight.
And this is where Mei is in the element. Never mind that Kaneki is 73% to the first Blizzard in the first fight. Now, Up Academy are moving through spaces which are literally shaped for Mei walls. I mean, cookie cutter. Mei walls now actually forces Smiley to go onto the Mei themselves just to be able to counter wall.
It makes me just think of the old school kids toy where it's like the circle goes in the circle and the square goes into the square. Like, that's every one of these doorways. Like, I'm doing it right, friends. I remember my childhood, I swear, it was so old. As we take a look at this pressure down, though, from Up Academy trying to find an angle, they've opted to go for the Mei themselves with Smiley to try and, I was going to say fight fire with fire, but in this case ice with ice, as there's a nice stun to come through onto X-Ray to prevent that re-engagement and possible pile drive. But the Blizzard's out from Kaneki, and that should be able to isolate multiple members of Up Academy and allow them to persevere.
Yeah, Chiron actually uses the nano boost, but C-Wave's the one that goes down, and now that you don't have the Kree, you can use the Graviton knowing that there's not really bombs or flashbang to keep Team Chaser at your wit's end. Up Academy, they've got the rally. They're seeing that they're coming up in the kill feed. They know that they have to take control of this point and stop Team Chaser from taking advantage of the chokes with the Mei. And that's just what they're going to do, even if it has to drain their entirety of their ult banks to do it.
Yeah, if you don't have the Kree, it might just be for free. As Riven looks to beat the corner. I tried so hard with that one. I was waiting for it. Like, you said it.
Yeah,
I was
you're
like,
so proud.
I really wanted it. I really, really did. I'm sorry. As we get back into this...
Up Academy really wanted that point. They put in so many of those ultimates trying to keep it. And unfortunately, Team Chaser still comes out on top in that engagement. The good news is that they're not actually holding on to this choke. They're waiting for Up Academy to walk onto point before the wall comes out to separate Ion from the support.
Smiley gets an early pickup, grabbing the back onto two. There's a quick follow through, easy takedowns on top of that grab. Up Academy is in a prime position to switch this back, but Kaneki with another Blizzard completely forces all of Up Academy off of that point in the corner. But even though they sidestep it briefly, they manage to hold strong, find this pickup, and force out that recall. They'll be able to swap it back and generate some percent.
Yeah, but it puts Up Academy right into that emergency state, right? If you lose this next fight, you lose this map. Team Chaser are sitting on 97%, and that means push comes to shove with ultimates, you invest them.
And now with this Pulse Bomb online, looking to see if they can find a potential pick in the corner as a nice engagement comes through by X-Ray once again. Got still Smiley super low in the back, has to play cautiously with the Blizzard being online. It's definitely a win condition for Up Academy, but Kaneki's definitely closing the gap here to get one back online for themselves.
C-Wave's just waiting in the back with that Deadeye, wants to do it off the back of Ion Shatter. And actually they're able to negate the Graviton with it, but the Pulse Bomb is still there and it catches the Mei.
Managing to get the numbers advantage, pressing onto the point. C-Wave at least can shut down the Wrecking Ball, but this Kaneki Blizzard will once again be a dominant factor in taking this point. The Mei has really spoken volumes for Team Chaser going into this control that they've already started to test in King's Row. The overtime's going to dwindle, nobody can touch, and that's a first round here of Night Market going not much longer into the overtime phase as we've seen before with Up Academy, but, you know, hey, we'll see how this next one's going to go for them.
Yeah, when you lose a point and a team sitting at 97%, it's always a hard time to recover. And you can see Team Chaser, they had the time to play around with if Up Academy in that last push had used all of their ultimates and still find the kills. Team Chaser could just have held on to theirs and then come in with absolutely everything when they had nothing left to throw them out. But it doesn't happen. Up Academy, they invest the ultimates, they don't come up in the kill feed as much as they want, so Team Chaser temporarily back out and then move right back in the second that the ultimates burn themselves out. But now we get to see next map, Control Center gonna be popping up, and Ion can stay on this Reinhardt. This is where you're really in your element, getting to go for those close quarters fight where you can have the hammer up just as much as the shield instead of on Night Market where you're trying to move around this long line of sight.
And again, the Mei fits into this composition so well. The only other alternative that we've sometimes seen is the Junkrat, but it's not going to come out here on this round between these two. We still have Kaneki playing that outside position. Nice knock forward! So many being just forced into the skies for free damage by X-Ray. Also the back line. You're going to have a Bionade land onto 2. Team Chaser just playing this perfectly, and X-Ray is on fire in my eyes.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in the teams and their Mei walls, right? Smiley is forced to use the Mei wall when the knock comes through to make sure that Team Chaser don't move on to Ion. And then Kaneki gets a free wall to stop Up Academy's exit from being clean. It lets them pump so much damage into that retreating team and sets them up perfectly for this next fight, whereas Up Academy are going to have to bide their time and wait because Ion's been able to do nothing but hold the shield up 26% to that shatter.
It's a long way to climb, especially when you've already seen a quarter of this percentage vanish in front of your eyes. You have the nano boost ready, looking to try and get some sights, but that Mei wall is going to prevent any sort of vision. Composition is X-Ray. Waits for the chance. Once again, pile drives into the back. Minefield as well. Slept in the central location of it, but still gets one. Managed to get CXZ. The Predators countered immediately with Blizzard tossed out from Smiley. Locking down multiple individuals on that outer side, but there's still quite a bit to evade. Kaneki actually gets brought down, tossing out theirs, giving enough space for Riven to take down 2. So that's going to allow Team Chaser to still gain the numbers advantage here on this point.
Oh, Team Chaser just playing a kite game as well. They're trying to catch Chiron out. They're actually going to let the Ana get away temporarily. Go back with the team, but again, Ion's just not being able to do anything other than hold the shield up because Team Chaser have been making sure that Chiron is forced to reposition to actually keep the Reinhardt in their line of sight. And the second the Ana moves, suddenly she's extremely vulnerable, as you can already see X-Ray chasing, being a target, not letting her just have that line of sight on the Reinhardt to keep him up.
Just this uncomfortable, constant feeling in the back line that Kieran is not ever safe in this back position, with X-Ray gets a nice takedown on the Smiley, preventing any sort of crowd control from the Mei itself. 88% reaching this overtime position. You've got Team Chaser once again dominantly watching and blocking off of the Mei wall. Now, as the grab comes through by Lee, is there enough to follow through onto it? Ion swinging the hammer, does take a nap. Flanked by X-Ray, and you've got Team Chaser in this overtime looking to close it out on this map 5 to enter into the grand finals against Billy.
Kaneki coming up on that Blizzard as well is just going to be the final nail in Up Academy's coffin. I was missing, Ion does have the shatter, but the Mei wall is there, and Team Chaser with this extremely mobile composition with the Blizzard can just bully Up Academy to the sidelines. And I think it's going to be Up Academy just forced to watch this Team Chaser walk this map.
One player after another being brought down on Up Academy. The Bionade shall be the final factor. Reinhardt cannot keep that shield up, nor any swinging value, as Team Chaser finds themselves moving forward as a redemption opportunity presents itself from what we saw yesterday of Billy facing Team Chaser in that winner's bracket.
Yeah, Team Chaser really showing that they know and understand how to absolutely ruin every Ana in Overwatch's day. I mean, you always have to feel so bad, right? When you see the backline target just painted on that poor Ana's back, and they did such a good job. First it was the Mei walls, then it was the Hammond later on, and it was such a shame because unfortunately for Up Academy, there was nothing they could really do. They were running the Zarya, and the bubbles had to be kept for Ion so that he could actually get to swing the hammer for a couple of seconds in those fights. And that meant that there wasn't the peel available to keep that Ana safe. And they tried with the positioning. Chiron tried to stick as close to their team as they possibly could. The Team Chaser were just so good at separating that support from that front line, from any form of help that the team could give.
And as you take a look at the match so far today. If you're tuning in, you do see that Team Chaser managing to take it at the end here in Map 5, where Dora's hopes of taking a little bit more of a advantageous scoring in her predictions is going to fall shy. I just like to throw this at him now because I've made the prediction dice. I am going to have to ship him a pair of those. But, again, we do still have now one more matchup to see. We've got Team Chaser versus Billy Gaming, as we're going to have, you know, a lot coming up. But before we even start going down that road, Moxie, we've got to talk about the player of the match and what you're thinking is going to be the real MVP here.
So a part of my heart kind of withers when I say this because I'm an anime. I know exactly how it feels to be bullied by backlines. But no, X-Ray honestly did a beyond above and board job on the Hammond of just being an absolute bother on all of the maps, but definitely that last map most clearly. The Hammond mines were absolutely gorgeous, coming out on top, making sure that no one from Up Academy were able to try and capitalize on any moments that might allow it. But really, that Li Jiang map, just making sure that Current doesn't get to play Overwatch, completely neutralizing them trying to put that Reinhardt in and put a little bit of a cat amongst the chickens. X-Ray did an absolute wonderful job.
I mean, again, I commented on it a couple of times. Kings Row, you followed up as well with your reasoning. I don't think anybody would question that decision, and, you know, major props so far to see if that can be carried into this next match. But again, before we enter into that fight between both Team Chaser and Billy, we'll be heading to a brief break before finding out who will be claiming this first knockout stage for Chinese Contenders Season 2. So don't go anywhere, friends, because we'll be bringing you that action in just a moment. Welcome back, friends, as we continue on this knockout stage 1 of the 2021 Chinese Contenders Season 2 English broadcast. I am Rich Rad here with the lovely, lovely Moxie. We've already been able to see some stellar gameplay between Team Chaser versus Academy, where Team Chaser managed to persevere, find themselves in the grand finals, and now facing off against what we've looked at as the one who deserves to win, but only time will tell, Bilibili Gaming. Moxie, I'm excited to be with you to cast this game.
I'm looking forward to this one because there's a rivalry developing between Chaser and Bilibili, isn't there? And it all stems from the results of the last season where everyone had given Bilibili the favored win, and then Team Chaser came along and said, "Lol, no."
I will just take it away from you, friend.
And then, not only that, but to pour salt on the wounds, they took away Bilibili's win streak.
Yep, they really did. They've managed to put quite a dampener on their hopes and dreams. But again, with this so far, what we've seen, I mean, looking forward to take a look at the overall prediction part of it. And we've talked a little bit about how today's been so far. We've seen that. I just have to highlight it. Door, we love you. We love you in your roulette, but this time the luck of the draw not in your favor. So hopefully this one shall be. And you're looking that we're going to be hitting to a map 7, according to your math, and we'll be able to see if that comes to fruition here.
I mean, he got it half right, didn't he?
Right? Kind of. Huh? Yeah. Switch the 2 and the 3 and the logo and whatnot, and yeah.
But I feel like we really should just, like, take out the photo of his face and just put the wheel off instead. To give credit where credit is due. But no, honestly, I think this could be a very long game of Overwatch because we've talked about it. There is a rivalry between these two teams. Chaser were the only ones to take a single map away from Billy, putting a stop to what should have been a golden stage for this team. And the Chaser that we just saw is absolutely on fire right now.
Yes.
X-Ray, we talked about this guy. He was the MVP in the previous match, and what a show he has had. He has been running absolute circles around everybody else, making sure that the backline is constantly looking behind them, making sure that the front line is always worried about a Hammond knocking into them, bowling them over, and ruining their day.
And Team Chaser's going to need to keep that consistency because putting BLG into an uncomfortable position is ideal, but when we talk about, like, the players, I mean, we have to get to them in just a moment because we'll take a look at the roster once again. X-Ray, stellar. Aprita coming out on top. And Kaneki just overall, really, when you take a look at this team, because we highlight a lot about Billy Gaming, Team Chaser has such a plethora of talent when you look at this roster, and it's just really trying to tighten up what they already play well, because that's what you need to do to take down a team like Billy. It's not that you're playing anything badly, it's just having to sharpen and hone in those skills that are necessary to win.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if anyone is going to be able to go up against Billy's DPS lineup, Kaneki and Aprita are probably the best shout in all of the rest of the region, right? They've been having such a good time, and we talked about him so much in Season 1. Aprita practically ready for Owl right now. This is really just his audition for all of the teams, because when he gets of age, there is going to be an absolute bidding war for this guy. Now that he's shown he doesn't just run the Tracer, it's a lot harder for one-trick players to be picked up purely because of the way that meta dictates. Now we have hero bans coming in. There's a big chance that the hero that you specialize in is going to be on one of those out cards, but now that we're actually seeing him show off all of these depths of hero pools that he can push into, he's going to become a lot more appetizing for a lot of Owl teams out there.
And speaking of appetizing for Owl teams, I mean, let's just be honest and take a look now at Billy Gaming when it comes to their roster. We talked about it and touched on it yesterday from Door and Kenobi, ourselves now even looking at it. The left side of this, the Alpha Yi, along with Pineapple and Liga just being significant players, their history has just definitely proven their worth going into this and what they've brought to this. But again, even 800 has synergized so well with Liga. There's just countless amounts of situations where we've seen each one of these individuals accelerate, also finding themselves in a position to say that this is their audition and one that they can excel at.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it a little bit in that first series, right? It's extremely easy to see when anything, even the slightest misplay of a second, is out of sync when it comes to that tank lineup. But Liga and 800 have been playing absolutely perfect together. You would not have known that they are just now getting matched up. You would have thought that they've been playing for at least a year. And that's absolutely perfect because it means that the support, their jobs becomes a lot easier because they're not constantly having to worry about, oh, is our bubble rotation out of position? Do I make sure that my Winston is up and alive without the help of the Zarya?
And having all of those elements being just completely settled, not having to worry about it, and then picking up this type of synergy in the long run is really allowing them to have this type of just consistency and just well thought out strategy to overwhelm their opponents. But again, the rivalry continues, and as we are about to head into our first map, we will take a look to see what we start off with, and it's going to be Nepal for that first map of Control. For seeing it for the first time today for the broadcast, and looking forward to seeing how these two are going to, engage on this map and what type of compositions we're going to see, because there has been some variety between the two. Again, more so in the DPS lineup than I would say. Even, you know, essences of the support line changing it up. But, I mean, I would not be surprised that you could already see some hover over if the Pharah does show itself in this match.
Yeah, and another thing that you're going to be seeing for the first time today is not first to free anymore in the upside of your screen. It is a first to full, so consistency becomes even more important for both of these guys, and that means picking up control is the best way to start your day. And we talked about it, Team Chaser looked a lot weaker on control in past seasons, but now that they've picked Kaneki up, it allows the Predator to really experiment with the DPS wheelhouse. That being said, there's a reason we've talked about this guy's Tracer. It's absolutely monstrous.
Speaking of monstrous, it's going to be a lot of damage raining from those Pharah rockets up top from Alpha Yi. Seeing if they can get some early pick potential. Nice rockets landing onto Kaneki, but there's still a couple of icicles being very weary of. As you've got now Hyunjae going down, Afrita gets the follow-up shots necessary despite being so far away, and that's going to allow an opportunity for Team Chaser to press in onto this and look to claim this point first.
I love this path as well, Ana and Baptiste. So Ana can keep the tank line completely pumped full of healing, and Lengsa can actually take the time out to be the hit scan and deal with Alpha Yi, who, despite not being going up against something like a crate, still has only been able to pick up 34% of that ultimate charge because that hit scan has constantly been there keeping him in check.
It's vital to have that asset, and I mean, honestly, because Billy's not pumping out a ton of damage. Oh, the sleep! Alpha Yi just having a rough round right now on this bird. You are gonna get your wings clipped.
I mean, Kyo literally just like clicked their heels and a little bit of that jump as you get to see that sweep come through, and that's brought the 91% of that ultimate charge to the Nana boost as Alpha Yi forced to come in fresh yet again, and it's a lot harder to get that Pharah back into position when you have to come in fresh from these lanes every single time. Team Chaser tracking the movements down, not letting you run rampant. Pineapple wants to go for a hack on this map, but he's actually able to line up a spider around the corner.
Yes, preventing it from follow through as you've got 800 being very aggressive to assist. Pineapple, literally a sliver of health, barely escapes, but 800 on the other hand does not. Billy finally able to get some value, but it's still a challenge because Lanx has got the amplification matrix, getting a lot of shots onto the Pharah. Afrita gets the follow through, but overwhelmed. Pineapple gets a great exchange, and 72% Team Chaser coming out dominantly in this first round.
Yeah, Hero of the Hour, Pineapple actually able to get Lengsa out of the way, so the pharmacy is still in the sky. The problem is, Billy just did not have the damage to be able to translate that into a fight win, and Team Chaser is still holding on to this point.
Yeah, they're going to reach this 99% if they continue to just keep stragglers on it. The Blizzard comes out as well, locking down 800 on the outskirts with Liga dropping the mech, attempting to get back into it. Does get Kaneki, and they finally grasp at least a few percentage away from Team Chaser.
I mean, they finally as well now have the space to set this barrage up so that it's not immediately cancelled out. But Alpha Yi's even to get to use that shift button. Problem is, how much value is it going to find? Length's just going to be waiting with that immortality field kill with the sleep. There's so much shutdown for that Pharah.
They're now looking for a prime target with that pulse bomb. Playing near that hack pack to prevent it. We now have Kyo looking to fall and regroup backwards. There's a minefield to divide and conquer. Nice immortality field in the corner, but instantly going to go down by Alpha Yi, continuing to find value with that presence up top in the sky. And honestly, it's becoming a real challenge now for anyone to compete against that rocket barrage as well. The defense matrix does... Oh, there's a sleep. Gonna take some nap time for a moment as the grab pulls them together, and Team Chaser's gonna come in with a vengeance.
Yeah, Team Chaser covering all of the angles, didn't want to clump up so that barrage didn't hit the majority of them. The second is out, everyone can pull back into that point. Buffy's actually going to coming back on that soldier, trying to get into this fight quick enough, because remember, if Team Chaser pick this up, it's final fight territory. Billy's got to find something. They try with the EMP, but no one is there to really capitalize on the moment. No one's got the ultimates to go off the back of it.
See Kyo flank so beautifully in the back, just around that corner in the pillar. And the amplification matrix takes a ton of damage. The hack comes out, though, onto the Baptiste in the backside. Super low, barely survives. Kyo gives the assistance with a nano boost, gonna toss into the mix. And you can even see Kaneki looking for Hyunjae on the Mercy. Gets the pick. 100 to 61 as Team Chaser takes this first round of Nepal.
And you could see as well, Lynxer was just waiting for when that Sombra would show up, because remember, when you hack a BAP, it's not like an EMP. EMP completely short circuits that amplification matrix. But if you hack the BAP after the amp matrix has come out, it still stays up. So even though the hack came onto Lynxer, he was still able to use it off the point to keep everyone on the point pumped full of healing. Billy, we talked about it. There's a reason that these teams are rivals. Team Chaser is the closest to being able to equalize the threat that Billy puts out, and this is precisely why.
And as we do have a pause coming in, so we will be able to take a moment to evaluate a little bit further. And you made a great comment about it too, because yes, it's not like some ultimates where it's like, hey, you've got your McCree ultimate, you're mid-channel in that one, you're gonna get it completely eliminated. The amplification matrix still provides so much value, and especially because Keo, being so close in proximity, can also use that to their advantage by pumping out healing and damage in that narrow box, and really didn't allow the follow-through to come out and take down that Baptiste play, ultimately in the long run sustaining on that point. And you're very right, Team Chaser in a great position to really contest against it. They want to take this early lead. They're feeling warm from their last match that they had with Up Academy, as we're taking ourselves back into this game now to take a look at what the compositions will be with these seconds dwindling.
I mean, do you ever really feel warm on Nepal though? It's got snow everywhere. It is a perpetual state of winters. Alfie is going to be back onto that fire, and Team Chaser going to actually be playing Kaneki onto this mate. They want to fight on point so that the walls have the most impact, but they're actually taking the high ground approach, which is allowing Alfie to just rain damage in completely uncontested.
Free. I mean, just getting some decent percentage, but I mean, honestly, there was a lot mitigated. You had the shields there coming out from Riven, playing back a little bit further, so you don't really have much value, because Pineapple's the one getting all the percentage gain towards the ultimate economy with the harassment at the back. Now Faye's now going to finally drop down to give some harassment, as the point presence is actually being contested, and Billy's managed to gain it first.
Well, there was the Mail coming out, but it's almost immediately blitzed down. Kaneki's just trying to build up to the Blizzard right now, but even if you hit it, Billy are playing so far split apart with this really mobile composition that is only going to at maximum pick up 2, and it's really good. They know what Team Chaser are going to be putting on as win conditions, and they're going out of their way to counter them.
I mean, look at this divide and conquer. First to Billy, then you've got Team Chaser gaining some. Back to Billy. It's just this constant ebb and flow off this control point, taking advantage of it, where Billy will finally reach the more optimal outcome. And you've got now a fleeing X-Ray with Alfie looking for a chase, but won't be able to do too much if they surpass this 27%.
Well, Team Chaser will be coming in with that win condition in hand now, though. That Blizzard is going to be there, and Billy are running Liga on the Zarya, so no defense matrix. That Blizzard is going to connect with the ground and come out. With Hydra going onto that Mercy to keep Alfie just a little bit more secure, it does mean that a lot of pressure falls onto Irony to keep everyone up and alive in that Blizzard. If Team Chaser are able to just focus anyone caught in it, they should be able to find a foothold.
And you can just see Keo attempting to get some shots onto Alfie up top, just constantly seeing that health bar going down, but again, not outright burst of damage to get the pickup. Critic gets the mana. Gonna be contesting on the point, really not gonna be able to do too much value with it since they've abandoned it to try and take this fight now. And Billy's going to be able to gain the long run throughput on this point, despite them not even being near it for the initial engagement.
Yeah, no point flip. Alfie actually does get caught out in that barrage, but you've already done your job. Your fight is won, and there's the res coming through immediately. Team Chaser, they tried to put the Nano Boost. I think they anticipated Billy playing a little bit closer to that point. That's why the Nano Boost went on to the Trace to make them more durable, so they can survive actually going and contesting and forcing Billy to turn around, putting them into the crosses of that Blizzard. But it's just not happening. Billy know the Blizzard is online, and they're not falling for Chaser's tricks.
Coming out onto the full spawn, no value. And Blanks is trying to play close to that amplification matrix and put a little bit further forward to get that high top angle, as it's 99 into the overtime. Billy just seconds away from making this a 1-1 round score, but Team Chaser perseveres, swaps it back, and prevents Billy from ending it right now.
Well, they're still winning this fight, though. No one, barring a poor Diva, is trying to deal with Alfie, and that defense matrix is not going to last long. Has to use the boosters. Try to get to that health pack, but this is just Billy biding their time. Now they'll move on to point, and there is no one from Chaser to try and contest this.
I mean, Aprita touches it, but looks with a quick recall. Immortality Field tossed out, but again, the stragglers are here. The focus fire is
locked on, and you've got Billy taking this to a round 3 to not give this up so easily.
This is why I just love whenever these two teams meet, because the adaptation that comes out from both sides is such a beautiful thing to see. Team Chaser go, okay, do you know what? We're gonna try and pull you onto this point. We're gonna use the Blizzard. And Billy go, we know what you're trying to do. We're only gonna let you use that Blizzard and pull us onto point when we've grabbed. And that means that you get nothing with it because we're all out of it and you have to use it defensively. And they just wait. They play the long con. The second that Blizzard is gone, they know that they can just waltz back onto that point and pick it up, and there's nothing that Chaser can do about it. And now we have to see a different adaptation coming out from Chaser to deal with the exact same thing that Billy found so much success with on Village.
Game of chess between these two, and looking to see who will find checkmate. X-Ray looks for that nice flanking position to try and harass at least the back line initially. Pressing onto this point. Some nice rockets coming out from Alpha once again. Good to see if they can get some early points of presence. The rockets continue to rain. Immortality Field's already been spent for that defensively. Lanksa's going to get caught out because it's no longer there, and that's again a free pickup here for Billy if they can just press on and take advantage. But it's actually going to be Team Chaser looking to take the early advantage, since again Billy plays a little bit more of this like a spread out skirmish around the point itself.
And they're trying to monopolize not just the point, but every bit of space surrounding it, so that Alfie actually has the space to be able to operate without having to worry about Lanksa picking you out on that hit scan. And it does mean that they've given up that first flip, and Team Chaser can just keep stalling it with this very mobile composition, even investing the Hammond mines if they feel like it.
Yeah, and honestly, every percentage gain right now for this is going to be critical for them. Minefield up top near that pillar. X-Ray's going to be able to get topped off since they're close. Keo paying attention. Sleep Dart's going to get missed. Nano boost onto Kaneki. I think it might have been potentially for someone else since the main jumped in line of sight, but they're going to try and use it to the best of their ability, with 800 getting overwhelmed now on that flanking position, with Riven still having a decent energy, and they've got 40+%.
Well, Chaser did actually disengage when they saw that Nano Boost come out. They did not want to give any ult charge to Chaser, with Kaneki so close to that Blizzard. But now that the Nano Boost has run its course, Billy are trying to come back onto this point, but Chaser still have the angles. They still have all of the shutdown and all of an eyeful of where Alfie is operating. The barrage comes through, but you just don't have anyone left try and capitalize on the space as far as making. It's enough for a res. It's enough for Lika to try and build up this graviton, and actually forces Kaneki to use Blizzard.
Yeah, tosses it out, trying to lock down the Zarya play from Lika. Manages to just skirt by and evade. Pulsong gets tossed, no value here. Swap finally back over in favor of Billy. They've been able to hold strong here in this long run engagement. And honestly, if Alpha E didn't get picked up here by that, crossfire that's continuously being here by Lanksa, it would have been much faster.
Andre should not have got that res on Liga. That is the main flipping point. The second the Zarya comes back, Kaneki goes, oh no, that's a big source of damage. We have to win the fight before Graviton is online and is forced to use the Blizzard. And that was Chaser's best bet at being able to try and come into this next fight and shut Billy down, because now they're not in control of that space. Now Billy can play that spread game and pick you apart as you peek your head into these angles.
Buy some space. May well block the retreat from 800, but gonna take the wide angle as a looks for some flanking positioning in the back. Nice job with that aggression up top here from Alpha Yi, getting a lot of those rockets. Direct hits coming through, but the Immortality Field buys a few more seconds while Pineapple swoops in from the side, getting a follow-up. And that's gonna be 60%, looking to surpass Team Chaser here and reach this overtime.
You can see how desperate Chaser are to deal with this pharmacy in the fact that Riven tries to use Graviton to catch them. It actually hit one of the buildings, so it caught onto that edge and completely whiffs and misses Alfie, and that means the pharmacy is still in the sky, still peppering in all of this poke damage before Chaser can even get to see any sort of fight where they can equalize with damage of their own.
Look at the ultimate economy, too. 800 going to lead with the minefield. 5 other ultimates for this last 12%. Alpha E's going to wait for that to end, going for some direct rockets. The wall has to come out. The Immortality Field is spent. This is just now a field day for Billy to unleash what they have to secure this 99 into the overtime. All 6 have been utilized. That time will dwindle. Team Chaser just has to quickly touch with X-Ray to buy some time, but that is going to be round 3 correction, and map 1 going to Billy.
Yeah, Billy looking extremely comfortable in this first map. Chaser put up a big old fight. But Billy still showing that dominance that we expect to see from the team currently on top in this region, and a lot of it really is down to Alpha U. We talk about this guy's Echo so much. Echo is currently in that list of not allowed heroes. Let's force him onto the Pharah. We thought maybe they'll pull October in to make up for that difference, but no, this guy can flex onto the other aerial DPS and be just as dangerous.
I mean, you gotta feel confident. At least you're still airborne. Like, you're still airborne, so you got something. You're gonna be in the air and
you're gonna... still goes up. They're just the same heroes, right?
Right, absolutely. You know, just because you shoot one rocket versus multiple sticky bombs in a tri-shot doesn't mean it's not any worthwhile to them. But yes, with this overall just Pharah play, and if there is no one to contest this from Team Chaser in the long run, it is going to be devastating for any opportunity that it can be opened up for them. And again, you commented about how you have to really put the resources of the Baptiste onto it, potentially looking to see if you have the assistance with the Ana play, even tossing a grab into this one. You're putting that kind of resource into it, that's a scary thought.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you put resources into that, you're draining them from other areas, right? It's okay to have Lynxer on that BAP go for the Pharah if everyone is still full HP and not needing the BAP healing to keep them up. But when your team are on critical health bars and you're having to take time out of your healing slots to try to DPS the Pharah and keep them from finishing off those kills, that's when there's going to be a problem, because you're busy dealing with the Pharah. Everyone else on your team is dying to everybody else on Billy's.
Hashtag heal me. But as we take a look at the next map, we're going to see that this first map of Control has already gone to Billy Gaming as we enter into Route 66. And, you know, this is a site that we've seen already. We did see this once before, where we had more of this, you know, Sombra and the Tracer play synergy, a little bit more of that backline dive-centric, utilizing X-Ray together. And, you know, with this, let's see, it's going to be Team Chaser on the defensive side first. So it's going to be deja vu for us from what we've seen already earlier this week.
Yeah, the big difference, though, is that Chaser before didn't really have to deal with a Pharah against Up Academy, so the DPS lineup didn't necessarily require hit scan. It let them play the composition that they're the most comfortable on. Now Billy, yeah, Alfie is currently on Widowmaker. That's not going to stick around. You saw how much value you were getting with that DPS on the pole. You know that Team Chaser are very uncomfortable trying to field a hit scan to deal with you, especially with that fall off nerf from 50% to 30%. You're going to continue to build into that composition.
As the door is open, we'll get to take a look and see what the selection is. There's the Tracer pick that we all know and love from Alpha E. This Pineapple comes out onto the Hanzo. Again, this is something that we did see once prior already yesterday on Route 66, but going to actually abandon this Hanzo play and opt to go for the McCree here. Okay, going for the hit scan along with the crowd control just in case, because like both Aprita and Kaneki are going to be a real problem.
Yeah, Kaneki is going to be the main one to watch, especially when you're running Briggs then. They tried to go for the Zarya jump, but unfortunately that cliff is not parkour friendly, and they will feel the full force of gravity taking its courses. Team Chaser, that is a beautiful, if unfortunate occurrence for them to take advantage of.
I mean, but you're still seeing Billy, despite Kodomo going down, getting at least a little bit of distance here. They fall back and show some respect for it, and now the re-engagement comes back in. You've got the numbers advantage for Team Chaser holding on to this, and they'll be able to stop this payload just in front of the gas station, looking to see if it can get a fill up before it continues to push.
My Predator's already got a pulse bomb.
Right.
That's terrifying. It's really going to be down to the peel from Billy. I mean, you're not running the BAP, so Immortality Field isn't going to be there to save you. Kodomo might be able to get a bubble in time, but Ioni's not going to have the Transcendence. Either to be bullied out of it earlier to save their life if the stick comes through.
I mean, even Kaneki sit at just almost 80% themselves, this EMP. Team Chaser's really taking hold of this advantage and finding opportunity, especially even with their support lines, far surpassing both Youngjae and Irony. Now 800 getting slept up by that payload, instant takedown on the Pineapple and Kodomo. Another reset here, and Billy Gaming, for what we said that Team Chaser had a challenge defensively on this map, have really outdone themselves.
Irony is supposed to Zoidberg that Transcendence to keep themselves alive as the dive comes onto the Zen. Billy can still make a return for this. Team Chaser might actually be forced to part with a couple more ultimates if they want to hold on to for this next fight. And that should set 800 up to use these hammer mines over the top of that gas station.
EMP comes out, lands onto 4. Bionade 2 of those, mind you, but the rally did come out just before. So there is still generation of armor with that ultimate being utilized. Langsa's getting so low, but getting topped back up for a sustain for Team Chaser. And they've really looked back at the history of Route 66 and said, all right, we got to pull this together. And they're managing to do it.
Kotoma's going to have a grab zone. You can couple that up with the Deadeye. Everyone will be stuffed up, but are you going to be able to catch everyone in it? Running this composition, is it going to actually have any sort of value when you look at how far not only the payload hasn't moved, but how far Team Chaser's ultimate charges have? They've been able to just run laps around Billy's charges.
See now 800 on top, continuing to try and keep an eye on Aprita where their positioning is. As the grab comes out, Kodomo, a nice pile drive for 1. The assistance of Pineapple getting a second. 40 seconds now. You've got Team Chaser dwindling in numbers. You've got a fleeing Kyo attempting to escape, but you're not going to find rest anywhere soon. There's 30 seconds now to go for one last attempt before this checkpoint.
It's going to be a lot harder for Chase to find any sort of stable positioning for their support lineup now that Billy are in control of that space, though. Kyo could get taken out before the fight even starts, and there's the EMP, which is going to start Team Chaser off and force Billy to just get away!
Kodomo and 800 in the EMP eliminated. That EMP from Kaneki was the win condition necessary. Aprita almost gets outplayed here, but has the health back from the Sombra selection to sustain. And that's going to be a beautiful hold here from Team Chaser just before the checkpoint.
Yeah, Irony gets stuck with the pulse bomb. That was the last chance that Billy had at trying to stabilize during this fight. If you've got Trans up in time, but it is not to be. Chaser know the Zen is around. They focus him down. They make sure that possible win condition is slammed right shut in Billy's faces. And Chaser absolutely dominating on Route 66. You have to look at Billy and question, why did we not see that far up?
Yeah. I mean, there was no change at all or adaptation. Like, you tried the couple attempts. You get to that 1 minute 30, 2 minute marker. You're thinking, all right, we gotta throw this away and try something new, and never opted for it. It was so surprising, and I really would like to have seen it because I think that would have been the defining factor to change up the end of this. Because as you mentioned, Team Chaser was lapping Billy in an ultimate economy.
Yeah, the main problem, right, is that Billy, we're running the Brigand Zen, and that prioritizes damage output with those discords. What it doesn't prioritize is healing output. So you have to constantly be coming up in the kill feed, constantly be putting out threat that outweighs any of the damage or aggression that Chaser want to show, so that they don't have the time to come and test you on that support. Because the second that they actually start hammering damage towards you, you're going to start dropping players. But Billy on this defense, they're still going to be opting in for this very high risk, high reward strategy. And Pineapple on this Hanzo is going to be there to try and deal. If Chaser run this Sombra again with the Sonics, you can find her a little bit easier when she's in that stealth mode. But it still means you're draining resources that should be for damage and putting them into supporting your backline.
With this aggression moving forward to peak, we will see if there is enough value going to be obtained. Again, this high-risk, high-reward composition lost quite hard here for the checkpoint, and now 800 is going to get slept with X-Ray attempting to get some decent damage. Slow composition. And it's just basically an easy pick after pick. Kaneki comes out with 2, and this payload is just going to continue to move freely.
Chaser making so much space right now. We talked about X-Ray being so good at creating these openings on King's Row. He's just done it again. Look at the stage that Kaneki had to work with because of the Hammond's movement. 51%, almost halfway to that first Dragon Strike, and Chaser are so well established. Q in the backline, Billy is completely untouchable for that Ana.
I mean, this is going to be final fight. This is it right now. If Kaneki finds a side angle here and gets a pick once again on the back line, it's game over. Aprita actually leaves with it onto 800. And now the drop down from the support line. You've got both tanks are eliminated. This should just be it. It's
all of the defensive position from Billy blown to Kingdom Come, and that's an even 1-to-1 map score now.
Yeah, we talked about it. Very high risk, high reward if it works. If not, very fast map loss the second you lost that first fight. And unfortunately, because of where the payload had stopped, you only realistically have 2 fights. Which means the composition that you come out with in your spawn, you've got to hold on to, otherwise all of your ult charges is just gone. You're shooting yourself in your foot. So when you run out with that break and set, you're committing to it. You're saying, we're going to come up in the kill feed first. We're going to make this work in the defense. It's going to be a little bit harder for you to actually come in because you're the ones having to intrude to us. So we're the ones who immediately get to play reactive and counter that dive. But X-Ray just completely uncontested. Swoops everyone off the high ground, forces all of Billy to take a big step backwards. And that means that Kaneki gets to shoot wherever he wants.
Yeah, and just basically, it's the Zenyatta player like, up Discord, and Kaneki's like, I'm taking advantage of this for free. I'm going to shoot these logs all day long at that target. And it shows. 2 quick and easy picks that just made the domino effect for that easy take on Route 66. So because that was so quick, we're going to head to a brief break before entering into our third map to see how Billy can manage to remove this thought process of maybe high risk, high reward, and just look for the solid, concrete plan of victory. So don't go anywhere, friends, as we'll see you on the other side of this break.
Hello and welcome back, friends, as we return from our short break, as we continued to rant about not only our Reinhardt Judge skin, but also the fact of the, or well, lack thereof, the fact of Pharah in the previous map. So we're going to be heading into Hanamura, Moxie, and I'm looking curious to see if we'll have the lovely revisitation of the Pharah going into this, because you commented even on seeing its relevancy earlier in Nepal, but also just on this map as a whole.
Yeah, because I mean, Chaser have shown, right, that they don't feel comfortable dealing with that Pharah. And it's not just the DPS that get hit by it, it forces the support lineup to deal with it. And breathe a big sigh of relief because Alfie has locked it in. The only problem is that Billy are currently on attack and they do have the option of changing that pick. Team Chaser do not. So let's talk about this composition. And no surprises, it's a Hanamura defense. Surprise, surprise, it's gonna be a melee.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, it's something that we see so typical because it does have the opportunity of dividing and conquering. You find the early advantage of separating potentially one of the tank lines or even both of the tanks to completely isolate them away from the supports. So, and also it's just a great positioning as well for your support lineup. I mean, Langsa and Kyo are going to be in beautifully safe positions to make sure that they are not going to get overrun. And you can see now as the doors are about to open, Alpha Yi will keep that, and Pineapple's going to come out on the Hanzo here.
Yeah, breathe a big sigh of relief. Alfie has locked in the Pharah. He is out of the spawn gates. He is not changing. This is not a drill. Billy are going to be running that pharmacy. The one thing that I'm worried about when dealing with that Mei is that Liga is not going to have a good line of sight on 800 when that dive comes through. That Zari bubble is going to be denied on the Hammond if Kaneki's able to place that wall well.
Yo, but Kyo gets that pickup onto Hyungjae, and Liga's down. Alpha Yi is not going to be able to recover from that one on their own, and this should just be an opportunity here for Team Chaser to pick off the last few that are necessary on the defensive side.
Yeah, a little bit harder for Pharmacy to find value when Team Chaser can just use that courtyard and all of the nooks and crannies around it, as well as that high ground to take out the Pharmacy before some of this. Alfie is still somehow...
Oh,
there we go. Kyo is going to take out that canonical daughter. And this Anders is out for blood.
Yep, absolutely. First the Mercy, now the Pharah. Just looking to stack it up and tattoo some tears underneath that cheek or something. with
Suika is actually forced to swap. The Diva is being forced out of Billy so that they can use Defense Matrix, not just to eat the damage that Kyo is outputting. 82%, 60% of that probably damage done to the Pharmacy.
So now having to force out the Immortality Field to survive. There's assistance being provided by X-Ray up top to sustain, which is necessary as you've got now this potential engagement onto it as the Nano Boost comes out for Langsa to go for the Pharmacy composition and just nuke everyone close in proximity. Langsa just surviving by the skin of their teeth.
Everything was given to that Babs to make sure that you didn't need to worry about Immortality Field being on cooldown. And now Amplification Matrix is there, you're in a corner. Sure, you're getting jumped by a Diva with Defense Matrix, but X-Ray is actually going to turn around and help the backline. And the Bat finally goes down. The Billy, because they've focused away, they're looking at the backline rather than the front. They've lost control of that point.
I gotta give major credit for Team Chaser. Despite how chaotic this is, their maneuvers around this map, able to give assistance to multiple members, has really drawn out so much extra time on this initial point. There's still 1 minute and 40 seconds, and you're gonna have Billy take it, but I mean, it really forced Billy to have to put a lot of resources into this and have a heck of a time to take it.
Well, the big difference maker, though, is that Billy has snowball potential, so Team Chaser, their most dangerous spot that they've been since Hanamura has started is this next fight. Especially with a Prita going down, and actually Kaneki going to use that Maywall just to buy a little bit of time for that respawn to come through.
And it should be enough to help out. Got now up top. Oh, quick double tap with the rockets. You've got the Immortality Field out, so Langsa is super vulnerable. Nice file comes out by Kyo to give the assistance for Langsa. And has to take that high ground position, just this constant boot action, jumping high into the air as Kyo now being very, very careful to survive through that engagement and harassment from Pineapple. Got the respawn advantage here for Team Chaser, but Billy still putting a lot of force on this point.
Yeah, everyone trying to keep Kyo out of this fight, but Billy still not able to come up in the kill feed. And Kyo is still alive. This Ana is doing serious work this map, and we talked about it, right? Chaser, their most danger that they were in on this map was that last fight when Billy had all of the ults and Chaser was coming into it with next to none. Now the shoe is almost on the other foot, and Alfie does have that barrage to come through, but again, it's so hard for Rafara to find the space on point B when it's really obvious whichever approach you try and come in on.
Now with the Prita have to look for a recall. Attempting to try and evade from Pineapple to not find themselves caught off guard. Got Keo up top looking for this nano. Get some value. You face sleep though. Honestly, this crossfire is going to be interesting too from Alpha down below with these rockets. Need to be super careful as the wall comes through up top to try and divide. Gets the pickup on to Liga. So that'll be a nice reset here, and Billy have to fall back.
Yeah, Billy have to put up a lot of attention on all of these different fronts just to pull Kyo's attention away from where Alfie wanted to come into that point with that barrage.
Ooh, nice wall to try and keep 800 from fleeing, but still has the underpass and potentially a nice pile drive. Does actually get lengths. Keo is down 2. Bolt support's eliminated. This is the window of opportunity for Billy. Primal Rage has to be forced by X-Ray on the pulse bomb comes out onto Irie, so you're solely relying on Youngjae, who's not going to be able to get the res because X-Ray is there, and this should be a shutdown once again, a recovery from Chaser.
Beautiful Primal. Now you've got the nano boost onto the Winston to make him even more durable. Billy don't have any win condition. If that res had come up, Alfie would have been there with the barrage, but now you've lost the opportunity. Both supports are back for Chaser, and ultimates are still online. Ultimates that can shut this Farah down. Amplification Matrix is the worst thing that Billy have to worry about. I mean, if you can get 800 in close enough to use the Hammer Mine, scatter them all through that window and prevent Linksa from using it, then you can pop the barrage, but until then, you're waiting.
See Liga going up top to try and get some insight. Very aggressive positioning with the pro. Wow, okay, gonna toss the mines up top by Linksa. Does get a nice engagement follow through by Alpha Yi with a rocket barrage as well. 3 in total. Now with those ultimates being committed to this, Billy should be able to clean up nicely to take this point just shy of 1 tick, but again, the respawn advantage, Team Chaser with Aprita continuing to hold on. X-Ray and Riven have that mobility to evade and buy time as a heat comes out by Liga, managing to shut down that pulse bomb, and Kaneki has to force onto the 76.
Length in the corner with the amplification matrix. It's not Cluedo, it's winning Team Chaser the fight.
May just be able to hold on to this. Kaneki's going to take a side angle from the high ground, preventing anyone with some self-sustaining healing. And really, at this point, Billy's kind of in a disarray, recovering, and will fall short in this.
That was their fight to win.
Yeah,
they
it really
used
was.
ultimates. They knew that was their fight to win. But again, Chase's support lineup, it's so stalwart. And Alfie is actually going to go onto their Genji so that you can put up a little bit more of a threat. And we saw Pineapple trying to use the Tracer to harass Kyo. The Genji now can try and deflect the sleeps and the anti-nade, so even if the Ana utility comes through, you still have a chance to get the kill. The problem is, they've only got 12 seconds left. No one is going to be able to hit an ultimate on the side of Billy if they're not careful.
Yeah, you're trying to deny those opportunities with only seconds dwindling. 800's got to go on to try and keep in contention. Looking back for the health pack as you do have Liga there, managing to proc the overtime in the corner. 800 going back in and revisiting this position to try and give some assistance. But Pineapple's hit by the bind. It has to be careful. X-Ray gets rid of the support, so you're now solely relying onto Irony. A hack comes through onto 800, who cannot evade. No armor available. The overtime's dwindling. You have Team Chaser for this defensive position, looking to protect and defend, only allowing just 1 tick and 60.3% total to be captured. But I mean, you still got Billy attempting to dive back into this, but they're so underperforming at this moment with how well Team Chaser's been defending.
800's Hammer Mine's alright, but the EMP from Kaneki almost instantaneously shutting any chance that Billy could have used those for down. Pineapple, they tried to give him the nano boost to build to that Deadeye as quickly as possible, but he was unseated from that high ground. Had to go onto the point to keep that overtime burning, and Team Chaser just chewed that Kree out. Billy, they're able to pick up 1 point and not able to pick up the second. We saw the swap come through, but it just felt a little bit too late, right? It's 15 seconds left. The fact that you were even able to see a whiff of a Deadeye is an absolute miracle considering that time bank, but Alfie just did not have the chance to build up to that blade. There's no way you're getting that win condition online, and I mean, you try to go for the harassment on Kyo, but we just saw that in the absolute chaos that was that last fight, no one on the side of Billy was able to keep track of that ammo.
And we saw the Alpha E play with the Pharah. We're going to get to see it again now on the defense. Let's see if it can be a little bit more beneficial in the long haul here, with the Orisa actually going to come out from 800. And again, we've seen some really, really great play from 800 on this Orisa. And again, as we all know, Orisa one trick, I get it. That's all my life is. But, like, just all in all, the value that the Hulk can bring into this to try and just keep and centralize multiple members for not only a combination of the damage from Alpha E, but Pineapple is going to be really helpful.
Yeah, but the question now is, how do you really keep Irony up and alive? Inja's always going to be going with Alpha E. League has got to be saving that defense matrix to keep this Orisa up, because she is just going to be a walking target, especially if Kaneki comes out on that Hanzo. The Orisa shield is hardly going to last any time underneath an absolute barrage of arrows that are going to be sent her way.
Gonna try and get some early vision. Running that wall high position to find the supports, but does get picked up by Pineapple. Hit scan will be very, very beneficial for them, because it looks for a reset and just dwindle some time on the clock.
Yeah, that's what Billy needs. They just need one single pick to win each of these fights, burn that time bank off until they have ultimates to keep Team Chaser at an even further arm's length. And really controlling this choke, that's what Chaser have to contest. X-Ray gonna go onto that ham to try and go for a little bit of a dive to pull Billy's focus, so they can't just pump damage in over this choke without Chaser getting any say in the action.
You can see the dash right into the rocket. It has to force the recall instantly after that to be fearful of getting picked up with a second. Kaneki once again gets that damage boost, looking to try and get a couple of picks quickly. Has to evade back and forth. Halt trying to dislodge that wall climb. Manages to now have already a minute off the clock here, and Alpha E still really in the grand scale of things uncontested and just only getting a few picks of damage on him.
I mean, Alpha E is contested, but it's currently from Keo. As you can hear the Ana shots just going off. 73% to that barrage is fine to Hanzo. You've still got the Mercy pocket though, so absolutely no permanent damage going to be coming through that. Chaser just banking ultimate charge right now, but the problem is Riven hasn't been able to do anything because you've been stuck outside of that choke. You're nowhere near Avatar.
No, not at all. I mean, you're gonna maybe get to see one towards this last 60 seconds, but Riven picked up once again here. Alpha E just completely raining damage freely, and if there's ever a time that you just need that recovery, Pineapple's there to still funnel damage into the choke.
And now as well, if you need to hit that emergency button to keep someone on the side of Billy up, you're going to have to nano boost to give him even more durability. Team Chaser, they've got a pulse bomb to work with to get them inside. Sure, you can try and create a little bit of space with a nano boost, but a nano boosted Hammond is nothing like the threat of a nano boosted Tac Visor.
But there's 6 ultimates you're going into. Minute and 45 seconds. If you get 2 cycled rotations here, Billy's in the clear. They already get down X-Ray, only having to force out the Rocket Barrage. You're gonna have to wait for a sustain to come through with all 6. And Team Chaser, they've got to try and bank up their ultimates to do something in retaliation.
Riven swaps onto the Diva, knows that the Zarya wasn't making it past choke, knows that they weren't making any impact in the fight. They're going to try and cobble together a dive to get onto this point and pull Billy's focus, but again, you're playing against 5 ultimates. Kaneki sees the Dragon Strike, didn't find anything, and is going for the Genji just to try and use that extra little bit of mobility and the T-Flect to buy themselves enough time to touch this point as we head into what could be final fight.
This really could be a full hold here. Sleep onto Pineapple, at least for the moment, to try and maybe get a follow-up and collapse. There comes the dive onto it, gets low, pile drive as well, and there is a supercharger getting eliminated by a pulse bomb, so the damage is going to be reduced for this attack. You still have the self-destruct by Liga, and the Rez comes out with the Valkyrie assistance to get Pineapple back online. 40 seconds to go. Liga brought back Keo for that extra support and healing necessary as Pineapple still maintains this high ground position. Bobbing and weaving back and forth to try and contest, but Team Chaser on the attacking position has the chance now to finally come through, get this initial tick, and try and push it to the second point. But Alpha E is there and still raining damage.
81% of the way to the barrage. Those Hammond mines are going to be running out any second. Riven's is trying to use the defense matrix to gobble up as most of the ult charge that the Pharah is putting down as possible. But you're not going to be able to hold the ultimate up for longer. There actually Kaneki uses the dash, connects with the Pharah, and that is it. Billy's win condition for this fight is gone.
Kaneki gets the dash, like you said, but with the ultimate coming through, resets the dash to get the follow-up, allowing this team from Team Chaser to come out on top, managing to reach this into an overtime position, but Youngjae still holding on. They've got the numbers to re-engage this, as now you've got the nano boost in addition. Pineapple flanking in the backside, going for Keo, looking to get rid of the supports as the DMAC comes out. Self-destruct, trying to bob and weave, looking to get that elimination onto Riven before the remake manages to do so. The opportunity was there, and does fall shy. No matter how clean that dash blade might have been, it still falls short.
I mean, it looked so good.
I know.
And then...
So bad.
I feel so bad for all the Annas today, right? They're just not having a fun time.
No.
You can really see that's again the turning point. Everyone on the side of Billy goes for the backline. They actually sniff out where the Anna is hiding, force them away out of line of sight of that point, and then all of the damage that you put in becomes permanent.
I mean, just I'm still flabbergasted by that Genji blade. Just again, it's those skillful tactics where it's just like, yeah, deflect, then dash, then reset of the dash, and then it's just like, all right, like you're gonna take that on. But seriously, to follow up on your comment, yes, the Annas have really had a rough time. Like, just there is so much hyper focus, and especially with your love of Ana play, just period. It's one of those moments where you can feel it. It's like whenever I'm in a reset and I get overrun and it's terrible, and I just constantly find myself hating every moment of it. But
every time someone flanks an Ana today, there's like, it just feels like someone ran over your grave. You're just like, ugh.
Yep. Absolutely. As we're looking right now, Billy comes out with a victory here on this map and looking to put themselves a little bit closer towards that grand finals win for this knockout stage. One is we want to take a look at that map set to see what our next map of choice is going to be, because again, this is a little bit like deja vu. We're going into the same map rotation here, as we're going to see now King's Row between these two, after seeing Hanamura again being the one unique difference. We saw Volskaya Industries last time, so Hanamura definitely showed some strengths with this Pharah play. But, going into King's Row, again, if we do not see the Pharah play, this is actually Billy throwing.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, we've seen the Pharah, then we haven't seen the Pharah, then we've seen the Pharah, and we're still seeing the Pharah. There we go. LPE currently teasing it in the attack, but once again, they can change if they feel that's not shaping up, and Team Chaser, their defense is going to now be locked in. Kaneki on the mate. No surprises. We saw how brutal this can be earlier on in the day. The second that they can just keep resetting those fights, keep forcing Billy back into that choke, then that's when this Mei really does get to run circles around whoever she chooses. The thing is, Billy are almost anticipating the Mei coming through, right? They're making sure that everyone has a little bit of mobility to see themselves over.
And with the doors opening, as per usual, Pineapple gonna rotate onto the hesitating actually a little bit. Gonna stick with the Tracer. Okay, I was like, right as I'm about to say it, I'm like, I'm gonna wait a hot second. But while those seconds are waiting, you're still going to have Alpha E looking to rain damage underneath. But Aprita gets an early takedown, and Alpha E hit by a Bionade here has to be super cautious not to get taken down.
Ooh, but it's Hanjay who's actually going to get taken down. Chaser focusing that support so that there's no life support for the Pharah. And now they figured out where Irony is. It's the same story as the rest of this day, bullying that backline.
I mean, this is the worst place to be, too. Like, when you're Irony and you're up there and you don't have a tank with you, you've just sitting close with Alpha E and you're like, all right, well, I'm kind of a sitting duck, and I'm just going to lay down.
I mean, the thing is, there's not going to be peel for this Ana, right? You are having to rely on your team making that space and putting the threat out so that Chaser don't have the time to hunt you down. Liga's bubbles are always going to be used to let 800 go in safely.
Whizzing by with a sleep dart from Keo to try and get out the end of the sky. Going hard onto the back line for Langsa. Wow! Double takedown on the pharmacy composition. Both Kaneki and Aprita really hyper-focusing that.
Yeah, you can see Chaser, they've divvied up. Half go for the Mercy, half go for the Pharah, and one pulls, the other quickly follows. Zephy is slowly but steadily building up to that barrage. That is what Billy are going to be lynch-pinning this next attack on, but it is going to be the next attack. This team needs to reset.
Yeah, the res comes out on a Pineapple, attempting to try and keep this attack going, but Team Chaser manages to sustain it. Nano Boost comes out onto Langsa, so there'll be some extra healing and damage to get to that amplification matrix, which they can use in this next fight with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, they can use that to really counter Alfie as he comes around the corner. And this Pharah is going to be looking for that barrage, but Chaser are doing such a good job of making sure that they're very scarce that no one can actually be seen for Alfie to get that last little bit of damage in.
On the back, Minefield comes out, does get some damage onto a crit, even exchange for one. Oh, the res almost comes through. Hyunjae forces out the Valkyrie, and there is all the ultimates necessary from Billy to try and turn this in easy favor. Does take down Kaneki, but the Blizzard is still tossed, so the point presence is at least being held onto for the time being for Team Chaser defensively to actually draw this out a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's not a clean fight on the side of Billy. Blizzard comes down. Lynx actually uses the amplification matrix so that Chaser can try and farm a little bit of damage through it. They've got a Graviton to recontest, and Billy still haven't been able to pick up. There's the first tick. Alfie actually forced onto the Genji to get back in time fast enough.
X-Ray couldn't escape either. They attempted to try and keep it contested, but was slept and easily eviscerated afterwards. 2 ticks with the third, attempting to go back into this as Riven gets nanoed into the Immortality Field, surviving onto the hotel, pulled back by the counter grab from Liga, and actually still able to contest, going in. Lots of damage as the energy is high with Riven getting rid of Hyunjae. It's solely relying onto Irony. Riven gets another, and this could be a recovery from Team Chaser, and the slight minuscule percentage remaining, 1.1 still to complete as there's 38 seconds to go.
The pick on Langster is too late. 800 finally takes the BAP out of the fight, but even with Kyo gone, he alone is enough to keep up the rest of Team Chaser. And Kaneki actually onto that Sombra is making it so hard for Alfie or 800 to operate now that they know the backline is going to be the focus.
With this just shy of a percentage game, this could be a possible hold and a very easy win condition for Team Chaser on the reverse side as Alfie comes out with that pickup onto Langsa. Hack, no dash or deflect available, and is still actually able to thrive despite the hack. And on the attack, Billy might have just been able to pull enough out of this engagement for Team Chaser defensively that they can pick up that last tick and transition into the payload phase, and finally are able to do so.
Yeah, they've got a blade as well to carry into this next fight, but the second that you use that blade, you know exactly what's going to be coming out to counter it. Kaneki and Alfie, the second that Sombra goes down, that Genji is going to have the green light, but before then, you have to bide your time and wait. Alfie's got to play the long con.
Yep. Patience is a virtue, and you will need every ounce of strength to wait for that opportunity. As Kaneki now with GMP looks to play around the bookstore, keeping some watchful vision on where the Winston play is. Does get taken up by the Tesla cannon.
Oh no.
And down by Alpha Yi. That could be an opportunity, and there it is. The Pulse Bomb and Dragon Blade come through, deflects onto Kyo, goes back in with the dash towards where the payload lies. And you've got Billy Gaming just opening up even more distance for this payload.
EMP was too early, Rich. I don't know if you saw, but it connects only with 800. The payload hadn't actually rounded the corner of Bookshop, and so everyone sitting on the payload were considered out of line of sight. And everything that Chaser were trying to set up with an EMP to enter into that fight before Blade comes out, completely gone in seconds.
Those slight, minuscule errors that could cost you this grand finals. You finally do see Team Chaser getting back into this now. Up front, you've got the Pulse Bomb held onto. Billy managing to get to once again, leading into this with the numbers advantage. They're actually going to force Hyunjae's rally to make sure that they can secure this next checkpoint, as there's 55 seconds to go to try and enter into this last phase, because honestly, this Furnace position is one of the most challenging to persevere through.
Yeah, especially when you're going up against a Mei. You know that Kaneki is going to be using the fact that there is one main approach and there is one exit to get walled off of if you miss time. There's now Billy are just trying to play bouncer with these spawn doors, not allow Team Chaser the time to build up to these ultimates. The Kyo does have that nano boost to put onto X-Ray. Let the Winston jump in and make so much space.
Trey in the back has the Primal Rage. Hold on to it as long as possible. Doesn't want to force it out early. Yes, since there's still a minute and 45 seconds will go. Primal's actually going to come out now from X-Ray to attempt to try and harass. 800 in the back, though, getting a lot of aggression onto the support. Gets slapped, though, in the Primal Rage. So that's going to be completely gone for the time being, with Billy just nearing this completion.
Yeah, X-Ray, Primal Rage gone. That means that stall potential gone. The good news for this defensive team is you will have a Blizzard Alfie can get that deflect or even the blade to start things off before it comes out. It's going to be huge.
Waiting for it patiently. Kaneki gets one on Hyunjae. It's only irony. The Blizzard attempts to try and lock down the forward position players as Alpha E comes in with a Dragon Blade. Can't get value as X-Ray finds the melee. Pulse Bomb dropped into the corner, but Langsa's going to be able to block it with the shield and give some extra assistance as 55 seconds remain with Billy being held.
Yeah, no apparent win condition, no instantaneous flip means that Billy fall foul of Team Chaser's faster respawns. They have to wait for the reinforcements. They even have to swap their composition. Alfie going to go into the Reaper Pineapple, the Kree, to try and deal with the counter dive that has been pulling absolute bane for Irony to contest.
Yeah, they have to get rid of this with play too. The harassment from X-Ray is unbelievable, and that Alfie Reaper play is going to be an answer to it. Now with only 25 seconds to go, Bionade is looking to land on all shy as X-Ray continues to get some decent damage, but very cognizant of where that Reaper positioning is to not get overwhelmed by the damage, with Langsa still continuing to bob and weave from the outline sightlines. Nano Boost comes in now onto Alpha E, looking for the back position, does get some shield coverage. Langsa trying to survive, holding on as long as possible with a grab there as well. Since so much attention was drawn away from the front line, this could be an opportunity for Billy to finish, but the Blizzard is there, locking down members onto the payload. This is now do or die with the respawn advantage in favor of Team Chaser. Pineapple comes in with 2, and 800 going raging as they complete.
Oh, the break healing. The Inspire was just enough to keep that front line up, because you could see that dive came through. Chaser were going for the Anna's throat. They're able to pick it up, but Billy, despite Irony going down, still have enough numbers on that point to be able to pick up all 3 of the check marks. And Chaser have got to full push if they want to see another round of King's Row.
The goal has been set. Billy would love to close this out now on the defensive position and manage to bring it to a match point, since it is again 1st to 4 for this grand finals for the knockout stage 1. As we take a look at that defensive composition, you will see Alpha
Not
E
Farah.
opting to go into the Tracer. I know, that's what I was immediately looking at. I'm gonna stick with this backline harassment and just really be causing a lot of problems here to really just get synergy as well with Pineapple to break down any sort of shield if it might come out and just snowball, really.
It's not just the shield that they have to break. They've identified that Lynx staying up means Team Chaser stays up. This is a support who is so good at surviving, and their survival flips so many of these different fights. Less impact on the Mercy, but the damage boost is going to be absolutely huge, and that resurrection as well. If Kyo gets contested and goes down, well, you're going to be able to get them back up, but no. They're actually going to swap onto the Brig. No Farah means no worthy of the damage boost. You go for the shield bash, you try and keep Alfie in their place instead.
I mean, again, it's a good selection going out into this, assuming that it's not going to be the far play, so Alfie has to be very cognizant going into the back line to try and harass Lynx with a keening eye on top of the Tracer play. Continue to see BLG defensively, wanting to make sure that they can close this map of King's Row out and find themselves on a match point. Some presence already on position, looking to try and get the early tick into this first 30 seconds, but still having a challenge since there's point presence by Billy.
Freda making it just a little bit more uncomfortable on that high ground, so Billy can't keep their support safe, snug and away from this fight. And that means Team Chaser can move on to this point and try and set up, but no one is contesting Pineapple.
Oh, Pineapple's getting some decent shots, but falling short. Can't get the pickups that they would like, but now, as long as there's presence with a tank line up front from Billy, it's going to be even more free fire from Pineapple, who already had a decent amount, had the May wall try and block some of the sight lines and give a little bit of deviation from positioning for Pineapple, and you actually have enough of it gained that they almost get it for Team Chaser.
Well, Riven with the nano boost from Kyo is actually so close to that first graviton. Vega is just a little bit behind them. It really is a race between those 2 off tanks.
Oh, they managed to get it too with a pickup as well. Now you've got very hefty time bank, and X-Ray is going to play aggressively to force back so they can easily push through this initial archway.
Alfie is going on to the Genji. They want to have that deflex up. They want to try and play the mind games with the graviton when it comes through, because they know outside of a counter grab that Liger is going to have to get up in an absolute record speed. If that graviton comes through and they're not countering it, that's fight gone.
X-Ray almost gets the pickup onto Pineapple, barely dashes out of the way. Little icicles as well at the backside of 800. Need to play carefully. That grab peeks the corner. Pulse bomb comes out. 800 eliminated. Iliga and so many others low from the explosive radius as well. 4 minutes and 25 seconds and already surpassing this halfway point. Oh, Alfie. We are sorry that was a nightmare for you.
I mean, Billy do have the Wombo combo. If there's anything that can stop the movement of this payload, it is grab into Dragon Strike, considering that Chaser are not running the Petite. Even an anti-nade from Kyo to try and keep the team up and alive is not going to be enough healing pumped out to keep them through if that Graviton comes through.
Toss now, trying to use that as the opportunity to complete this checkpoint. Dragon Strike going to give a little bit of a divide and conquer up front, but Riven's still managing to find so much value. Every ultimate committed into this. Ult support's no longer having it, but it will be a very, very high amount to withstand from Billy, and that's a checkpoint reached with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, it was a defensive attempt at the Dragon Strike to make sure that no one can really capitalize on Kaneki's Blizzard. But it also means that you don't really line it up with the grabs on what should have been a fight win for Billy. Billy falls a little bit short as now you're relying on this Primal Rage to buy you enough time for Alfie to get this blade with that nano boost.
Got up top. See a little bit of a defensive coverage. Alfie has the Dragon Blade once again going into the backside, looking to try and find some value. Does get lengths up. Looks for the second support, but can't really find too much value. Gets some silver, but not the gold. Got Billy defensively holding on. Counter grab comes through. Riven, nope. Easy gonna be defensive hold here from Billy.
Well, it's the fight win. It's not the clean fight win that Billy wanted, but it is the time and the space that they wanted. They now have access to the exact area that you can see Pineapple using on the Hanzo, trying to get that Dragon Strike up and online so that you can pair it up with Liga. Team Chase are gonna have to be a little bit more careful on how they get to that first corner, that someone doesn't get their head taken off by the Hanzo.
They committed so much in the previous engagements that they have to try and recover here. Kyo does have at least the nano boost and another Blizzard online. They can use that if necessary just behind the payload to try and lock down a couple. Pineapple still up top, getting a lot of value, has to be aggressed on, finally able to do so. Dragon Strike comes through into the Graviton, will be able to take one. Didn't get as much value, but it could be enough here just to at least prevent Team Chase from having any more contention, and at this point, it really will be.
Yeah, and Team Chase, they actually try to use the nano boost to keep one of their members alive in that Graviton, which means that it's going to be X-Ray's Primal, the only thing that they're coming in. And again, Billy get the chance to get this poke phase through. Alfie can build up to another blade. Pineapple can keep peppering in these Hanzo shots. And the second you feel pressured, you just fall back to the high ground when the fight actually begins. And that means you're always ahead in ult charge.
Wants to lie on top there. Does get a couple of shots to the body. Managed to find the takedown though in the dome. 3 minutes still to go. Playing back a little bit with some vision. This Primal Rage up top attempting to dislodge. Pulse Bomb actually gets one. Afrita takes down 800, so they've lost their tank. Liga being the only one to sustain up front with those barriers, giving some great assistance to Alfie up top and regrouping since they've got the respawn advantage.
Oh, here it comes. Arnie's already got the nano, just waiting for Alfie to get that blade online. The first time that they tried to use it, it was shut down by so many of Riven's Zarya bubbles, and he's finding nothing! The Mace Flail back forces the Genji away, but there's the kill, there's the dash reset, and 2 is enough to force Chaser off again.
Yeah, if that slash did not get the initial pick, that reset would have been very, very unfortunate. Just found it in range, so it's going to hold back again. 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. There's 2, potentially 3 more attempts, depending on how quickly this can go. X-Ray's going to get caught out in the open, and you can't have that happen for Team Chaser.
Chaser have got to start initiating, though. Either that, or they just bite the bullet for one push, wait for Billy to use the trump card of the Dragon Strike and the Graviton, and then reset. They've still got time. They've still got 1 minute 56 seconds, and remember, Billy got the full push, but it was an overtime. They have nothing.
Kaneki trying to get this Dragon Strike of their own. Shots up top, and also funneling in some damage onto the tank line here. Liga just about to have that grab, so that we can have the combination. high ground position. X-Ray needs to try and get this Primal Rage to have an opportunity to press forward and dislodge multiple members. There's going to be 800 going in, has the security of the Primal Rage, but does fall shy. Kaneki gets the takedown as the combination is there. No, they're actually going to just be able to evade it. The rally gives some extra armor for Team Chaser to press forward. Kaneki going to have free reign of sights with now Riven and X-Ray opening up some space for these final meters.
Chaser still going to have that Primal Rage to keep contesting this card, but so is 800. Pineapple's actually going to swap onto the Widowmaker, going for the hopes that everyone's going to be looking at the Winston, that no one's going to be able to shoot the Widow, taking the heads up. But Kaneki is the one uncontested and coming up in the feed.
Managing to get two, and the follow-through onto Pineapple. X-Ray just being an MVP right now. Once again, we said it against Up Academy, but also finding some huge value for Team Chaser to finish as they've got 1 minute and 52 seconds on the time bank.
I mean, it's admirable, though, from Billy that they were able to hold on point C for that long.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Otherwise, Chaser could have had a much faster, almost double time bank, let's be honest, if that payload had not stopped and just kept steamrolling its merry way through. But the big concern right now is how long it took Billy to pick up that first point.
Yep. 60 seconds.
You've got 60 seconds to build up ultimates. And Team Chaser picks up point A pretty quickly, and Streets Phase off of the back of that just as fast. So for Billy, the pressure really is on to not only pick up that first point, but get the payload moving to at least sighting distance of that second check mark.
Another chance for Team Chaser to equalize, making it a 2-2 score, and finding ourselves still short of a match point map. It's going to be potentially a long one tonight, friends, so I hope you buckle up and get ready to go, because we're going to see if Billy manages to pull a rabbit out of the hat for this one to get this payload quickly towards us, the ending position, or Team Chaser manages to hold strong and make it a 2-2.
Billy still not putting Alfie onto that far, but I like this. They're already committing to the Genji. They know they've only got 60 seconds. They've only got one shot to try and build up to this Nanoblade combination. If they're able to pull it off, it's going to be huge. They can't afford to swap him off far if it fails.
You're going to have Pineapple come out with the Reaper play for those close encounters, attempting to find value, especially because you've got X-Ray leading onto this Wrecking Ball to get close and stunned. Now, an early pickup, though. Billy, this is their chance, potentially, but they've lost to themselves in the exchange. 30 seconds back and forth. 800, though, comes in big with Alpha Yi, and now they can start applying pressure onto this control. You've got X-Ray forced back because of Pineapple's persistence with this Reaper play. Barely manages to evade the damage. And they're at least going to get this first tick. They're getting something of value, but there should be a contention here before this payload's obtained.
I mean, Lynx is off the BAP, he's onto the break, he's going for the CC instead of the Immortality Field, knows that Alfie is going to be looking for that blade to come through and save Billy. As Chaser going to choose the moment to recontest, they're going to let the point slide and fight and choke instead.
Okay, they've managed to get this, but again, this is going to be so challenging through this archway. You are having ultimates about online. Aprita already gets rid of Irony, so there is a chance to potentially take advantage of this since the support is down. 800 has the Primal Rage as the Blizzard comes out, looking for one, gets the second, but a Primal. Or correction, the Death Blossom only able to take down one because the main wall was there to divide. The respawn comes in more favored to Team Chaser, so they could be potentially able to get back into this to engage. Overtime's going to dwindle. Billy overrun by Riven, and no one can keep close.
Billy, they wanted the Nanoblade. And you can see right now, Alfie got 78% of an ult charge in the entire 60 seconds because Chaser was just doing such a good job of rewriting that Genji. He wasn't able to move in for the kill because everyone was playing so close together that there was just no way he was able to pick anyone off on their own.
I mean, big thing here, though, is that they've at least completed the point. I mean, again,
That's
I know that Billy did have a challenge with how well Team Chaser played on this initial attack, but the fact that there is completion and even just a sliver of that payload's movement, every inch counts as we take
You've still got control of a choke. That's the one thing. You still have a cookie cutter Maywall.
Hopefully.
They're all around in Overwatch, honestly. I don't know how many of them there are, but I swear one of the devs was a main, and they were just like, yeah, we're making this ability. It's totally going to be balanced. And it's going to fit here, and here, and here, and here, and here.
Somebody was a very, very large mathematician in their youth to make that become a thing. As we now take a look at this defensive side, though, and we're gonna have Tracer in the Maze still.
Oh no,
Alpha
Rich.
Yi, though.
I'm more looking at the tank lineup. They're not running the Diva.
No,
So if
they're
Chaser
not.
just wants to play on that point, no one from Billy is going to actually be able to contest both the high ground and the low ground. They're going to have to sacrifice bodies instead.
We'll see if there is going to be a sacrifice here, as you've already got some point presence. X-Ray playing that corner very strategically, does get knocked back. With Power Drive looking to get onto essentially 3. Actually takes the high ground here, getting some overhead positioning, which is nice as 800 goes down. Defensively, numbers advantage easily in favor of Team Chaser. If they can continue to pick off one after another, this is going to be the snowball effect that Team Chaser wanted, separating them back. The picks are coming through. You'll have one last contention here from Billy, but this is a tall task with 1:10.
They have no ultimates. It's all up to Irony. You have to be able to hit that nano boost, otherwise this fight is gone. You'll have access to a little bit of the choke to get some regroup presence, but that's all that Chaser are going to allow.
Now, 800 again can wait a little bit because the elevator or the doorway has to open for the payload to press out, so there is a chance to hold for a few more seconds to this engagement as the pile drive comes through. Now contesting it. Literally 1.29 meters, so just a sliver of movement outside of that docking bay. With 35 seconds to go, you've got 800 with the Bionate and Alpha Yi eliminated. You do not have the win condition of the Blizzard any longer. The couple of picks come out, and Pineapple attempts to get rid of Keo, but Langsa has the rally to regroup towards the point with the Prita just running rampant on the outskirts. And you will have Team Chaser managing to make it a 2-2 map score in this 4th map.
I was worried. The second I saw that tank lineup, the second I saw the lack of Diva, I was like, oh, they're just going to go on point. They're just going to play point. And you can see, right, I saw it, X-Ray saw it, that Hammond was eyeing up that high ground above the point like I eye up a hamburger. That was tasty in the second that they forced everyone on the side of Billy on point. They just took over the high ground, they had the low ground, they just encircled them, and the trap was sprung.
I mean, you talked about how you didn't want to talk about food, but now you're getting yourself into the mix of where you're talking about hamburgers.
We always end up talking about food. We've cast together, what, 3 times, and every single time in the breaks, whenever we're on cast, we always end up talking about food.
Yep, it's a thing. I don't know what happens. You know, food
It's
is
laughing.
food.
It's like a
great.
tradition, you know?
Yeah, it really is. But, you know, with us having, you know, already 2 maps to 2 maps, that means it's another break for us to maybe get a quick snack for ourselves and for you at home and refill your drink to enjoy this next match, which, again, we're going to see who is going to be able to take this 5th one to put themselves on a match point. So don't go anywhere because we'll see you on the other side of this with hopefully some very, very good snacks. Welcome back, friends. We're still here. It still hasn't been concluded, and it's not going to be for probably a while, because Moxie and myself are thinking we're going to go the distance with this one tonight, as we have seen a back and forth as we take a look at the map set here, how this evening has gone so far between back and forth, the seesaw of a children's playground. Moxie.
I mean, sometimes you can point out common occurrences that form into a pattern. And I just want to say that for every single time that we've seen a Chaser win screen, Billy has not played Pharah. Moving on to Ilios.
Patterns are key.
Billy are going to play Pharah, so history dictates that Billy will be able to take this map because Alfie is going to be once again on Pharah. The thing is, Lengsa has been doing such a good job. And I mean, we talked about X-Ray in that first series against Up Academy, but Lengsa, not only able to balance healing everybody, keeping themselves intact, but also putting the DPS boots on and carrying the team.
Let's go, chat. Talking to you right now. Do you think that Billy's gonna win? One in chat. Right now, because of the Pharah. Solely because of the Pharah.
I mean, you can already hear Kyo just going for the 2-shot onto Alfie. Gets healed up, but the Ana presence is felt.
I mean, I can already hear the keyboards around the world that are viewing this broadcast right now spamming one, as we're going to continue to see the damage comes through. Riven is eliminated, no longer in this engagement. And you're going to have LPE continuing to pump out damage, and I think there's a lot of ones in chat.
I mean, Team Chaser, they knew that Alfie would be coming out on fire. It's Ilios, and you can really see from this composition, even the fact that Kaneki on this mate is trying to shoot icicles towards the fire, rather than use the wall to keep Billy and that tank separated from the supports. Everyone is trying to shut down Alfie, and the rest of Billy are getting a free pass because everyone is looking at that fire.
As you can see, 20% already obtained, almost a rocket barrage online. Bridge is actually going to go down by Liga amongst all of the damage being pumped out from Alpha Yi, as we're going to now have basically BLG reigning supreme in this. There's a little bit of contention coming out from Kaneki, but nobody else is going to be there to help.
Yeah, and you can even see when Alpha Yi's getting pressured, Liga is just going to use the... Aww. Liga doesn't even get to fall off gracefully. It can't... It counts as Liga just pushing with the boosters. And now Alfie is just waiting in position. Riven's actually had enough. He's onto the Roadhog. He's looking for a hook. He's done with this Pharah. He's plucking the bird right out of the sky.
Yep, just done. Gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna take my chances, and yeah, we're just gonna have a good time right now, because Team Chaser's got to do something about it. And I mean, why not a hog? Let's be honest. 65%. Approaching as the rockets come in. This is just BLG's game. This is just BLG's round. Let's just put it out there, Moxie.
Yeah, Alfie's gonna take a well-deserved nap, I'm pretty sure. It must get pretty tiring hammering all of that damage in. As Team Chaser, they're trying to find all of these different ways to focus the paradigm, but by running a Roadhog surprise, you are just acting like a big walking hitbox. And Kaneki is not going to be dealing with the Pharah. Reaper and Pharahs aren't really known for being counter.
No,
but he is going to be trying to deal with the backline. If Irony is taking up occupation, then that means that one of these massive resources to keep Alfie in the sky is removed.
Oh, Alfie finally taken down. Could be the opportunity. Pulse Bomb gets tossed. Overtime almost vanishes in front of Team Chaser's eyes. Now there's some contention with Kaneki and the Roadhog play from Riven. And they're going to be able to swap this back unless there's a recovery with Alpha E in the Mercy play, and it shall come to fruition.
Oh, the sleep onto X-Ray, so you can't even really keep this point sold out nicely. And you are just going to act like, oh my goodness, the boop could have been huge, but unfortunately you had to vacate the point to set that one up. And Billy walk away with a clean 100% to an absolute O.
Stop taking Alpha Yi off the Pharah. Stop it.
This is Richard, guest coach for Billy.
Just, this is sideline coaching right now. That's what I'm doing. You know, you have your backseat drivers. I'm a backseat gamer right now. I'll admit it. It's happening. Why do you do this to us all that are at home?
Well, they're not going to do it this time around. Alfie is going to stick with the Pharah, and while Billy have identified that it is working extremely well, and do you know what? Kaneki was able to take out the Pharah on Hanamura, on the Genji. Genjis in my quick play games believe that their power counters too. If anyone can do it, Kaneki can get close enough to.
I mean, we've seen some very sly Genji play to counter the Pharah earlier. Maybe it can come to fruition again, only a little bit more successful in the grand scale of things, as there's still a lot of damage being peppered down from overhead. Nobody hard able to contest this. And I'm really scared for Team Chaser right now. Well,
they've turned it around, right? So the problem on Lighthouse was that everyone was turning around and dealing with the Pharah, and that meant everyone else in Billy got a field day. Now Chaser are actually deciding that they're going to deal with the rest of the team before they turn their attention to the Pharah, because when you don't have that many resources to pull into a Team Chaser to take advantage of, rather than everything and the kitchen sink, making that Pharah nigh impossible to take out.
now it's already surpassing that 50% marker. Britta being a little bit further forward, potentially cause some harassment onto the back line, but needs to be cautious not to go too far forward as 800 manages to get one minefield for another. This should be enough for Billy to claim this, take some percentage, and start putting it to Team Chaser.
Here use the nano blade, but Naki actually keeps the hold of that blade. You could still see it being used to counter Alpha Yi, but Pineapple is the one that Chaser are going to have to worry about, that pulse bomb. If you can pull out Immortality Field from length, that sets Alpha Yi up with his barrage absolutely spot perfectly.
Significant win condition for them, but there is still quite a bit stacked up for Team Chaser here that they can find value with. Kaneki underneath getting a decent couple of shurikens to the Pineapple.
Just looking for the Pharah.
I was just saying, yeah, Kyo right now being the MVP almost gets Alpha Yi out of the sky. Now,
Kaneki's looking for it.
Oh, it couldn't survive with that Bionade landed on top of it. This is going to spell disaster.
Yeah, Billy still holding onto this barrage as well. Team Chaser still able to keep Alfie under wraps because of this support line. If your DPS can't do it, grab a hit scan and back will get the job done.
Kyo and Langsa right now are pulling this out of nowhere to try and keep this alive, to switch it back. Kaneki finally, with patience, comes out with the Dragon Blade to swap it over and looking to make this a second round win, but in favor of Team Chaser.
Kaneki, it sort of feels like a saddle for a blade, right? He can't get the Pharah, she's already out of the fight, so I guess I'll just blade into your backline instead. Alfie still has a bar, so it's something that Chaser constantly have to have in the back of their mind. And not running that defense matrix, you don't really get the opportunity for the Ana to cleanly line up the sleep dart. It has to be instantaneous snap reaction, otherwise it's all over.
With this type of snap reaction, you can see attention. Here comes the pulse bomb. Does manage to survive as well. Now you've got Team Chaser having the nano boost onto Langsa, getting a lot of damage out on the front side, along with the healing. Amplification Matrix comes out, looking to try and isolate multiple members away. The number's easily going in favor of Team Chaser to bring this into the next one. The rocket barrage is there, but it's still only going to get 2, and that's going to be overtime dwindling. Team Chaser will be able to bring this into a third round and not yet quite lay down their arms.
Yeah, Hammond Mind's making it almost impossible for Hanjay to try and go for that resurrection. Team Chaser take us over to the next part of Ilias, which unfortunately is still a Pharah playground.
Yep.
Not quite as much, but there's still plenty of places for that Pharah to find value if you are in control of the point. Billy, I don't think they're gonna do it. Hanjay and Irony back onto that break and send. You remember this composition, right? I'm sure chat remembers this composition. Didn't quite work out for them earlier on in the series.
I mean, again, you put so much resource in the amount of output in damage, and it's just... I mean, I'm really surprised at this and curious. I mean, because I still think the Pharah has value. Like, I still think it brings something that, yes, Team Chaser is playing decently against, but it's still, I think, going to outweigh the cost and what they want to. But we'll see if this both Sombra and Tracer play is going to be able to surpass the Pharah play.
It's not your traditional massive bump of damage, though. Even with Discord, Pharah, Sombra, and Tracer, it's not really going to be enough to instantly get those kills.
Kaneki, you running for your life, my friend, but not fast enough. That Omnic Ninja brought down as 800's going to go back into the engagement, attempting to find a quick takedown onto the support. Can't manage to do so, and this will be Team Chaser grabbing it first.
Yeah, Billy, we talked about it, right? Even though Kaneki is the one to go down, there's just not a lot of damage coming out from Billy, despite running those two off supports that really do let you put so much damage in. And Aprida's not going for the backline that much. Instead, he's trying to sniff out where those tanks are playing, and that means his pulse bomb will up so quickly. And Irony just falls so low once more.
Oh, Irony does manage to take down Kaneki on this Genji play, though. And you've got Aprida looking... Oh, it actually is going to get outmatched from Alpha Yi. And still in the front line, getting a lot of value. All right, you know what? Okay, that's fine. We talked about your Pharah. Let's see this Tracer continue doing the Tracer things. Unless you get bashed by the Brig, but thankfully there's Young Jay to give you some assistance.
Well, not going to be able to avoid the sleep dot. Is going to actually be able to get out alive with it, and you can see the difference when you don't have damage coming towards Billy that Discord puts in. The Team Chaser now have regrouped and started to recover. Pineapple has the EMP, but there's not really going to be ultimates to counter it with. It's much more going to be a clean fight win to stop Team Chaser from building up their own, or you hold on to it, try and counteract X-Ray on these mines, but they're actually going to use it super early.
Yeah, they get Riven taken out. Langsa manages to evade by tucking underneath so that nobody can get follow-up damage. Pineapple gets 2, and honestly, that's still a good pick in the grand scale of things to start generating a new one.
It puts a lot of stress now, though, because you don't have EMP to immediately cancel X-Ray's mines or Kaneki's blade. And yes, Kyo did use the nano, but it's still going to be extremely hard to get on top of this Genji with the CC, even on the form of that shield bash. 800 as well has got to hold on to those hammer mines to counter out X-Rays, and if you position them ever so slightly out of key, well, that's all of the space in your point completely denied.
Minefield now going to come out, try and lock down, as you've got the pulse bomb in addition getting rid of Kyo. So you've lost it and solely relied now onto Langsa. Freda can't get as much value as you saw from Alpha Yi. Pressure onto the point now. Blade comes out, looks for the pickup, does get Liga. Now tries to find some in the back, but has to force the deflect since that positioning from Hyunjae was defensive enough to keep Irony alive. 74% for Billy as there's not out of this yet, continuing to contest and try and draw this as close to a 99% as possible as it's swapped back and halted at 79.
That was huge. Team Chaser, even with Kyo going down, they knew they had to push forward, pops the rally, because Kaneki had to get the blade out of the way before Liga hits grab. Otherwise, the Genji gets grabbed and it finds absolutely nothing. But for Billy, they're coming in with a grab and an EMP, and that's a lot more potent than Revan's only ultimate, which is all Chaser have to play with.
Pineapple getting sought out there, just barely had to relocate.
Did they try and just grab the Sombra in place?
Right, I mean, you know, you could. I mean, with that, it's... Okay, Team Chaser, we'll let that happen. We'll let that happen, as now you're going to try and see the EMP come through from Pineapple, landing onto X-Ray, not getting picked up just yet. Does have the shielding to come up towards the end of that. Billy not out of this just yet, attempting to get that hack onto X-Ray, finally does. That should be the follow through. Beautiful pilot onto the pair supports that remain for Billy to take that back pretty quickly.
Yeah, Billy's still going to be holding on to a couple of ultimates in this next fight as well. Pulse Bomb from Alfie, he is looking to land that onto some support. X-Ray's forced onto the Winston just to try and get this touch in time, and there it is, target acquired! Actually doesn't manage to get the stick to connect. And Chaser Squishies live to see another day.
And now, with that miss, you don't have an easy fight win just yet. DLG comes back into this. Alpha E looking around the outside, attempting to get the follow through with the pulse pistols. And you've got Hyunjae on flow, almost gets the stun. Ultimately, Billy now coming out on top for this last contention. The round will reach its end. The cryo freeze up top prevents that opportunity of touch, and you have now a match point position for BLG to take this grand finals match of the stage 1 knockout.
High risk, high reward. When it works, it does a whole bunch of damage. We only get to see the Zen for a little bit, but you really do feel the presence of that Discord up. Especially, you know, when you're putting it with a Tracer, because, yeah, Tracer and Sombra together don't do a lot of damage, but what Tracer and Sombra do allow for is a lot of mobility in fights. Yes. So the second that you down a target, you immediately turn, dunk the Discord off on the next person, and the Tracer and Sombra so easily get to close up the distance and start just absolutely whacking them.
Well, and again, you lose the damage, but you gain a lot of utility as well. The Sombra can bring so much into these fights, especially when it comes against X-Ray, who's been playing a stellar Wrecking Ball. To lock that down and prevent that type of mobility is also extremely critical for them to use.
Yeah, and I mean, we did get to see just a little bit of overcommitment, of overzealousness from Team Chaser's end. The Graviton, it's a nice idea. I really do get it. You know that the Sombra is going to be a thorn for you to deal with. You want to make sure that the EMP is gone, that you don't have to worry about it, that you can instigate rather than having to be reactive and wait for EMP to run its course, catch whoever it may, and then whoever doesn't has to instigate with ultimates of their own to play defensive. But by throwing that in and not even catching the Sombra right, it means that you denied the opportunity for yourself to try and go for that counter grab when Billy comes out.
Yeah, it's... You know, now we talked about high risk, high reward on the grab. That's just, you know, that's like a very, very big challenge for you to gain that type of advantage. But with that being said, the challenge is still ahead for Team Chaser as we take a look at the maps that are coming up in front of us. Again, we found ourselves back on control once again, but since this is a first of 4, we now enter Blizzard World. And as the color once again teeter-totters from blue to yellow, back to blue, will we see another yellow if there is no Alpha Pharah play? Or maybe they can just rally, to be honest.
I mean, they could go far, right? It's got a skybox.
Hey! There it is!
And there it is! It has a skybox, it has a pharmacy in said skybox. Billy gonna be opting for 800 once again to go for that Orisa play. So a little bit more static composition when it comes to the rest of your team members. That pharmacy is going to be the main distraction, and that should set Pineapple up to be almost entirely uncontested on the soldier, right? And it's going to be hard for Team Chase to try and get on top of this guy and pin him down because he's called Lex for a reason. He runs, and he runs good.
Very, very good.
As we just say, you guys can't hear it, but Prada's just like, I'm clipping that. Part of my English literature student died.
You know, your English literature guide is so good. It's real good. Just as much as hopefully this defensive position can be for Billy. Good is looking to be great for them to try and claim this win and make them take this grand finals, but maybe there's an opportunity for Team Chaser to go from great to better. I'm trying to run that.
I know you are.
As far as I can for you.
I see the soldier pun. I see. Well, Pineapple hasn't really got to see a lot of action at the moment because Alfie is taking the fight to Team Chaser. They're not letting Lengsa get any time to try and hit shots from afar. They are just going to get on top of this team and use the fact that they're all walking out of this tiny little doorway, and Farah's rockets are just perfect to stand through.
Yep. Gonna make it from better to best with those rockets, as you have the concussion mine gonna try and dislodge a few to the inner side, with Pineapple still maintaining that back position. Getting knocked up, but there is so much damage being pumped out in this moment with already a minute off the clock. Billy playing this very strategically and extremely aware of how Team Chaser is pressing forward to take full advantage.
Yeah, Riven on Desire as well. You momentarily get a lot of charge from these fire rockets, but the second Desire dies, you lose all of that charge. So honestly, the D.Va is a lot more valuable in these instances with that defense matrix, but Team Chase has finally started to get a little bit closer to the point. I'll be a little bit more contested now.
Yeah, honestly, X-Ray's been getting themselves caught out often here, which is being a real challenge for Team Chaser. And they honestly don't have the consistent harassment. There is a lot of crowd control that can maintain it, and just whenever X-Ray is caught out in the open, either Pineapple or Alpha, you can just delete that health bar.
Woohoo! Talking of deleted, Alfie is still holding on to this barrage, and you can keep it. Play mind games with Lynx's BAP. You don't want to use the mortality field until you see that Farah and the ultimate come out. And the second that it drains that really crucial cooldown, 25 seconds by the way, absolutely punishing if you put it down early. Oh, that's going to be the go-ahead for Pineapple to get a bit of attack visor on.
And you can see Keo just like, I gotta get rid of the Alpha Yi. I gotta get rid of Alpha Yi. It's all they've got to really do it. So now as you do have the Amplification Matrix come out from Lengths, a Supercharger to attempt to counter with a boosted damage. Alpha Yi almost gets picked up there, which would have been critical for Team Chaser. Attack Visor comes out looking for that Genji pick, blocks the deflect, manages to get a follow-through with the assistance of Alpha Yi onto the Tracer. There's a minute and 10 seconds right now, and Billy are in a prime position to have this be full health against Team Chaser.
Taking a couple of pushes, but Riven is going to have that Graviton online as a Predator. We saw Chaser try to go for the Roadhog on Ilias. Predator thought about going for the Widowmaker to get a little bit of a cheeky headshot on Alfie, but remember, hit scan, fall off. You hit the fire behind you, it's just gonna heal them right back up to full, so Chaser has to rely on a Nano Blade grab. And if they don't get Alfie before it goes through, well, a barrage is gonna be coming right for your face.
Yep. Rockets shall rain, justice will prevail. As you can just see, oh, Keo so almost being picked up right now. It needs to be so cautious. Nano Blade in the back, goes for the execution onto Irony, now looks for potentially Hunjay, waiting for that dash to come through to get closer to Alpha Yi, but keeping a high proximity, manages to rain rockets onto Kaneki, preventing any more damage being thrown out from the Shurikens. Now the sole remaining members are going to be deleted from Team Chaser. Kaneki has to swap, 6 seconds to go, and I can tell you that this defensive hold was real good.
I'm actually considering just like leaving you to solo.
I'm sorry, I just love you so much. So good.
Please just don't clip it and send it to my lecture.
What are you talking about? I'm totally gonna send that. I'm gonna find your professor's name and be just like, you should look at how well your English major is doing in her life. Applying all of, I mean, come on. Let me, you know.
Yeah, no. Well, Team Chaser, Billy, they've been locked in conflict for 5 maps now, Rich. Billy looking like they could finish that stalemate and take us to the match point and the last of the Overwatch that we get to see today off of the back of, well, Farah.
Yeah, literally. Oh, literally. But I mean, again, the grudge of this is so significant. Billy, granted, again, this isn't like grand finals of the whole second season, but this is still a moment to regain some confidence in yourself, to show that you are able to outmatch, outmaneuver, and outplay Team Chaser, who stole and stripped away that trophy from last season. And this is the first way for you to be able to show that you're still a force to be reckoned with, despite Team Chaser being the first to take a map away from them in that preseason.
Chaser as well, if Alfie does come out on that far, they don't have any sort of hit scan, but Alfie is on the Widowmaker. The statement has been shown. Oh, no, there it is.
No.
Smash Teleporter was still up, allowing Alfie just a little bit faster. Hunjay on the Mercy does mean that it will be the far. And now Chaser not running the hit scan outside of X-Ray on that Hammond may well be feeling a little bit foolish in these next couple of seconds as Kaneki is trying to get into that backline and immediately found out and has to just get out of dodge.
Yep. And a Predator solo as well, has to force the recall, and you're going to see Liga instantly try and take advantage of it with Alpha Yi finding a rocket to land for the extra pick. That's 2 down. It's only 1 tick necessary for Billy to take this, and they're already starting to press forward to gain it. 3 minutes, only 1 minute off the clock. This is going to be a swift vengeance for them in the history against Team Chaser. There is no one here to hold, and that's going to be a lightning fast win for Billy Gaming to say this knockout stage 1 is ours, and there is much more ahead for us to do further.
Alfie, he woke up, he chose violence. You can see it was personal. He was going for that backline. He was bullying them off the point. He knew that the Ana pot shots had been coming through every single little bit of that map, and you wanted blood.
Got woke, indeed.
And you can clip that front.
Yep, absolutely. As we take a look at the entire evening,
And it's just, again, back and forth. Finally, Blizzard World is the defining factor for BLG to take this knockout stage 1 as the grand finals winner, put themselves in a more solidified point margin for them moving forward. And we actually do want to have a brief moment as well. We did have our player of the MVP of our previous one, which we did say was X-Ray, but in this case, we can definitely look to BLG's highlight. And Moxie, you got to give it to us. Who are you gonna call? Who are you gonna call? Got to get that color cast because you're still ahead in prediction points too, so I have no right to say anything. So,
oh, I don't know. I think it might just be, you know, the guy who was on Absolute Fire Alfie.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, absolutely.
He had such a good game, but not only was he able to hit the shots, like, a lot of it was team support. Especially, you know, you look at Blizzard World, your Ana is getting pressed, they've got Nano Boost, Powers isn't even up for you, and what do? You give it to your Pharah, you keep them up just a little bit longer, and Alfie, he was just able to do so much. Stalling, getting the kills, making the space, absolutely everything that Billy were able to do for the entirety of tonight all spiraled off of the back of that Pharah play.
As we take a look at the bracket here, let's just get one last final glimpse of it as we do look to see how we have gotten to this climactic first knockout stage. I mean, there were a lot of interesting and both surprising turn of events. I mean, Billy, we saw continue to move through the winner's bracket. Not much of a surprise, but it was more so that loser's bracket where we saw Up Academy drop out T1W and even more so give real contention to Team Chaser. And one of those things that we're going to keep looking forward to over these next, several opportunities to see these teams play is how Up continues to develop. Will Team Chaser be able to rally to face off against Billy, and can T1W be more consistent to try and compete against the other four that we see such in high regards? But I mean, honestly, Moxie, it's been a pleasure to be a part of this and be able to bring this grand finals for this knockout one to see Billy be able to take the, knockout cup and raise that at least high, even though there's not one for this segment of it. But again, they're feeling strong. They're really demonstrating what they can do with even, Alpha Yi doing so much with this Pharah and how this team synergizes around it to really accelerate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be very interested as well to see whether we're going to get to see Billy get even more dominant when the hero bands cycle around and Alfie gets to get back on his main. Because what doesn't kill Pharah also doesn't kill Echo. So with Hitscan nerfed, if Echo comes back into rotation, she's going to have a pretty good run in doing the damage, getting those ultimates up and being an absolute bane for frontline and backline alike. But for Team Chaser, a lot of it really is going to be go back to the drawing board and think about how you're going to deal with the aerial dominance that we saw today. We saw fragments of it shine through in this series, especially when the supports were able to, get that breathing space, properly deal with the DPS. The problem is it's your supports. It's not your tanks, it's not your DPS, and when the supports aren't healing, they're not keeping everyone up.
And hopefully we will see some evolution with new hero bans, new opportunities, and new potential winners for our next knockout, which does take place in October. So we do have some time before we will see you next time. But we do want to give a major shout out to all of you there at home that were tuning in, participating, and supporting this consistent Tier 2, the Chinese region. I am Britrad here with Moxie. We give major shout outs again to all of our production and those involved. Thank you as well to both Door and Kenobi, who have been also fulfilling the last 2 days worth of the broadcast. So we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care, happy gaming, and we'll see you